A pleasant good evening and welcome to Connellsville Falcons Stadium in Connellsville, Pennsylvania, as your Gateway Gators take on the Connellsville Falcons in a WPIAL 5A Big East Conference matchup. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you outside tonight as the Gators take on Connellsville in the final regular season game of the 2020 season. And a week ago, Vince, the Gateway Gators had themselves a challenge in the Woodland Hills Wolverines, but it seemed like they were up to the challenge and they got the victory 21-16.
Yeah, a lot closer than I think a lot of people expected, but at the same time, you're talking about a team that was coming off of 3 weeks rest with no play, and so I think the team responded really well, and especially in a dogfight with adversity late in the game, I think that'll only serve to benefit them as they advance towards the playoffs. If they take care of business tonight, they should be in line for home field advantage, at least for the first round of the playoffs, so still a lot to play for tonight, even playing against an 0-6 Connellsville Falcons team.
And talking about the Connellsville Falcons, while they have had their struggles this season, a week ago they represented themselves very well in the first half of the game against Penn Trafford. In fact, it was tied at 28 before Penn Trafford rolled off 32 unanswered points to win that game 60-28.
Yeah, they can manufacture some offense with the ground game. They have a dual threat quarterback, so they're able to manufacture some offense, but the defense has really been the issue for them.
We're going to send it down to the field as we are underway in Connellsville, PA. This ball carrying back across the goal line into the end zone over the head of Shamar Price. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway from the 20.
Yeah, that defense that we talked about just a second ago for Connellsville, they're giving up an average of 49 points a game against. And so while they were able to hang with Penn Trafford through the first half, they still ended up giving 60 points away to the Warriors. We'll see if after a week where they struggled to really get a lot of offense going, the Gators are able to capitalize this week.
So as usual, the Gators go from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. Engel K, the quarterback, setting up in the shotgun. Sidecar to his left is Davis. Two receivers split left and one to the near side right. Handoff to Davis. Big gap over left tackle. Surges forward, picks up about 3 before he is brought down. Down at the bottom of that pile for Connellsville is George Schultz, the junior running back and linebacker.
Yeah, see them go to Davis here early. Makes sense. See if they can get him a little more involved. They struggled last week. He racked up 94 yards, but it was on 23 carries.
This time the Gators go to the air and the pass complete. And close to first down yardage. As the pass went to Davis, and down at the bottom of the pile again was Schultz, amongst others, for the team in blue. Gators on the near sidelines wearing their white jerseys, black numerals, gold pants, black helmets with the gold Gators in cursive. Far sideline are the Connellsville Falcons wearing their all royal blues. Two receivers right this time for the Gators on this 3rd down and 2 situation. And flags fly before the snap. It's an illegal shift against Gateway, and that's going to push them back 5 yards. So instead of 3rd down and 2, it's going to be 3rd down and 7.
And see if they open things up here a bit. Engel K has been very, very open to throwing the ball down the field, has had a couple very impressive performances, 10 passing touchdowns on the season. Even more impressively, no interceptions thrown thus far. I know they've only played 3 games, but he's done such an incredible job of taking care of the ball.
Tailback is Nelson. Play action to Nelson as Engel K goes to the air, near side on the right. It's complete to Davis. He has the 1st down and more as he's brought down at the 35-yard line. Schultz again on the tackle.
Yeah, nice route. Nice ball, play action fake there. You see, puts it right where his receiver can get it, just fits it right into that window. And look at Davis. He was already a little bit past the marker, but a good job keeping his balance there, fighting for a few extra yards.
Gage Gillett also involved on the tackle. Play action again for Engel K. Has Price streaking across the middle. He had sagged behind defenders, but the pass was late. And Zachary David for Connellsville was basically the closest player to that football as it hit the turf near Price.
Yeah, put that one just a little low. Had all day to throw. Great protection by that offensive line. You see, had the man open there right around midfield, but just put that one a little too low for his receiver to be able to make a play on it.
Sideline warning against Connellsville. So that'll bring up 2nd down and 10 after that incomplete pass. Ball's on the 35 on the right hash. Angle K in the shotgun with Nelson set to his left-hand side. Trips to the left as well. Handoff, Nelson running right. The big fella who had an impressive touchdown a week ago lowers his shoulders and picks up a Gateway first down on a gain of 10.
Nelson on the carry. Stop by Marietta and Gillette.
Tackle on the play by Joshua Marietta, 6'4" D-back.
I was hoping that they would go back to Nelson for some spot carries in there. It's interesting, they're switching things up here. Nelson primarily as that sidecar, and Davis out wide as a wideout.
Play action, Angle K looks left, throws left, the pass complete to Price near the midfield stripe. Hauled down by George Schultz, who's been all over the field for Connellsville. Modest gain, maybe a handful to the midfield stripe, and it's 2nd down and 5 from the 50.
Good recovery for Schultz there. Price was all by himself. You see him streaking over and making a good open field tackle there before Price can turn that upfield. And we've seen both of these receivers, Price and Bodie, be able to take short receptions and long receptions and really maximize that yards after reception.
Two receivers split to either side. Angle K in the shotgun with Nelson to his right this time. Hand off to Nelson, running left, running through a D-back who steps up to make the tackle, but still the tackle is made after a gain of about 3.5, and it brings up a 3rd and very manageable 1.5.
Yeah, and they're going forward on every play. Other than one incompletion, everything is going forward. They're getting a great push there in the trenches. They're dominating there, whether it be pass blocking or just getting some avenues to run downfield. Nelson thus far having a little bit of green space to work with.
Bruce Giles on the tackle on that previous play. The 5'8" freshman. This time Nelson bounces it to the outside left, lowers his shoulders as he crosses the 30-yard line, and he'll be brought out of bounds at around the 28-yard line. A flag flew late, and we'll have to check in with our officials on this one. But a big, big run there for Kelvin Nelson, but some of it may be negated as they're pointing towards the Gators.
Yeah, likely a holding call against the offense, although weird that flag was thrown in the vicinity of Nelson as he was laying the boom along the sidelines.
Officials still trying to figure this one out. 8:32 to play here in quarter number 1. So it's holding against Gateway. Now the Gators picked up the first down on the play. And then after the penalty is marched off, the ball will be placed at the 45, so it's a first down either way. Ultimately, it's a gain of 2 regardless. And that gain of 2 would have gotten them the first down.
Absolutely. Looks like if I was able to read lips correctly, that was on Jacques Taylor. They're on the offensive line. Thought it might have been a receiver downfield.
Play action. Angle K. Pressured. Runs left. Dumps it off to Price. Has a blocker in front of him. Picks up 5. Make it close to 10. And they'll say Shamar Price picks up about 9 yards as he kept his feet. Nice block by Davis to help his teammate pick up positive yardage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see here on the replay if Price's knee goes down or his elbow goes down, and all the fans here on the near sidelines rooting for the Falcons obviously thought that was the case. Great job by Angle K, flushed out of the pocket. He's done a great job, and it looks like he might have been able to keep that one up there. Nice effort by Price, but Angle K has done an exceptional job of extending plays and making good throws on the run this year.
2nd and 1. Play action again. Toss to Nelson, running to that far boundary. Tried to turn his way back and ends up losing 3 yards to the 39-yard line. So that'll bring up 3rd down and 4.
Just a shame there. Nelson with some nice soft hands there out of the backfield. The big guy looked like he was going to have some space to run with and make life difficult for the guys in blue there, but just loses his footing.
Gateway calling the play in from the sidelines. Still 10 seconds on the play clock. Engelke is going to hand off to Davis, who surges forward, then cuts it to the left-hand side. He's got the first down. Out of bounds near the 30-yard line with 6:41 to play in the first quarter, and another first down for Gateway.
Say it every week, but life's just a whole lot easier when you've got a Derek Davis on your team, someone that you know you can count on to make plays and to see the field the way he does. Such athleticism, easy first down there, and they keep this drive going, eating up almost half of the first quarter thus far. 6:41 left here. Still 30 yards to go.
A wing and two receivers right, one receiver left. Hand off to Davis up the middle. Met by a mass of humanity.
Davis on the carry.
Cullen Lynch, 6'1", 300-pound junior, leading the charge
Schaefer on the stop.
for the Connellsville Falcons.
Pick up of about 2 yards. Second down and 8.
Also involved on the stop was Sam Schaefer, 6'1", 280-pound senior. Boy, they got some big defensive linemen up front. Handoff again, big hole for Davis. He is spun down, picking up nice yardage.
Schultz on the stop.
George Schultz again on the tackle.
Davis on the carry.
Yeah, Schultz,
About the 20
not a very large linebacker, just 5'9", 185 pounds, but he plays a lot bigger than he is, and he's quite a sure tackler.
Handoff Davis, first down and more inside of the 15, and he'll finally be brought down at around the 12-yard line.
Schultz, Gillette, and
So Gateway with an opportunity to get another first down before hitting pay dirt. It's 1st and 10 at the 12.
You've got to think about throughout this game, you know, you're looking at 7 minutes of possession here, 7 minutes of that defense is out on the field. If Gateway's able to keep this kind of possession numbers up in this running game, it's going to make that defense real tired.
Engelke decides to keep it himself, pulling it out of the belly of Davis, running to the right-hand side, inside of the 10, wrapped and brought down at around the 5-yard line. Zachary David on the tackle for the Connellsville Falcons.
Good decision-making there once again for Engelke. Takes good care of the ball, thinks about the pass for just a moment, sees that the play is sort of broken up there. And that's a real nice advantage to have with a quarterback who's able to bring it down. He's not the speediest guy in 5A, but he's able to get to the outside, gain positive yardage, and set them up with a 2nd and short.
Yeah, we probably saw the speediest QB in 5A a week ago in Deontay Williams at Woodland Hills. Pitch this time to Davis, sidesteps a tackler and into the end zone he goes. Great open field move for Derek Davis. And a 5-yard touchdown run for the Gators, and Gateway on top, 6-zip, 4:38 to play first quarter.
Yeah, that's just what Davis does. A little shimmy, little shake, able to use that vision and that athleticism to break down the defender, undress them, and get into the end zone. Easy 6 there, and again, over 7 and almost a half minutes of possession there for the offense. What a commanding start for the Gators.
And that's exactly what Gateway needed after a rough go of it a week ago. Scoring 21 points will grant you that, but they had their struggles at times with Woodland Hills, and that was, quite frankly, the first time this season that Gateway had those struggles, and that may be a great wake-up call looking forward to next week into the playoffs. Bobble on the snap as Engelke snap went a bit awry. Bonzi Parks runs out of there with it, tried to set something up, and as Parks retreated, Colby Keedy caught him and brought him down. And it'll be 6-0 with 4:38 to play here in the first quarter as the conversion attempt fails after the errant snap by Engelke.
38 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
See another look at the touchdown there, the impressive run by Davis, but on that kick, just unfortunate. Heads up to Parks for trying to at least pull that out, make a play. Saw there was nowhere to run, tried to backpedal, but obviously Gateway not intending for that play to go sideways, so nobody running off into the end zone. No options for him to try and get that ball deep.
Again, looking forward for Gateway. Next week will be the first round of the WPIAL playoffs. And like you said, Vince, during our quick pregame, that, in all likelihood, a win today gives Gateway a home game next week. And depending on where they get seated, will depend on if they have a path to have a home game for the semifinals the following week.
They're ranked second overall in the Trib Live High School sports rankings, third overall in the state. Obviously, the second-ranked team is Warwick out near Philly, so they don't factor into that WPIAL playoff picture. So, if they're the 2 seed, then, yeah, they've got home field advantage all the way until they get to that final game. But we'll see. Are they the 2? Are they the 3? What does it look like with, we see this selection committee coming up. They're only going to have played 4 games as opposed to 7 for most of the other teams.
Yeah, the really interesting thing is, will they put Gateway at number 2, or will it be Peters Township, who will have played all but one of their games?
Right. Unfortunate that those 2 teams weren't able to play each other this year.
And we'll see if they match up in the playoffs as they did a year ago in the WPIAL championship game. As this kick by Jenkins carries over the head of the return man, Kyron Craigett.
Kickoff goes into the end zone.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Connellsville at the 20.
A smart decision there for Karan. The ball was trailing over. You catch that, right at the goal line. You got to get that all the way out towards the 20. Might as well just take the touchback there because that one was already trailing into the end zone.
So again, 1st and 10 for Connellsville with the ball at their own 20 in the middle of the field. Quarterback is Gage Gillott. Good snap, and handoff will go to Craigett. And he'll pick up 5 yards, maybe 6.
Taking a look at this Falcons offense, it really does run through Craigett. He has 97 rushes, 714 yards, 9 touchdowns on the season. He's averaging 7.4 yards a pop. Gateway's able to hold him to a little less there, but don't count out the quarterback, Gage Gillett. Has 44 completions on the year, 700 yards through the air, 7 touchdowns, has thrown 7 interceptions, but has also averaged about 7 yards a rush, can pull that ball down and use his feet effectively as well.
Gillett sets the offense in the pistol with Craigett behind him. Smith shows blitz as the Falcons go to the air. The pass intended to the near side for McCrum.
Gillott's pass intended for McCrum.
And that pass incomplete brings up 3rd and 4 from around the 26-yard line.
McCrum, part of a 3-headed monster as far as their receiving core goes. He has 13 receptions on the year, averages about 14 per. Look for them to get the ball to Jason McBride. He only has 14 receptions, but is averaging about 20 yards per. And then Joshua Marietta is that 3rd of the 3. He has 8 for 125 and a touchdown on the season.
Gillett in the pistol on 3rd and about 4.5 from the 25.5. Motion man coming from right to left. Instead, the Falcons will go up the middle. Craigett nowhere to go that time as the Gators stack him up. Aiden Smith, amongst others, in on the tackle. 2nd tackle on the day for Smith. And that brings up still the 4th and 4.5. Maybe 4th and 4 this time as the ball gets a little closer to the 26-yard line.
Yeah, see if they've kept most of the same personnel out here. See if they go punt or try and go for it here. You'd think that they'll punt. It looks like they're setting up to do that now. But if you're Connellsville, this is really not what you wanted on offense, because now you put that defense back on the field that just spent 7.5 minutes out there trying.
A pleasant good evening and welcome to Connellsville Falcons Stadium in Connellsville, Pennsylvania, as your Gateway Gators take on the Connellsville Falcons in a WPIAL 5A Big East Conference matchup. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you outside tonight as the Gators take on Connellsville in the final regular season game of the 2020 season. And a week ago, Vince, the Gateway Gators had themselves a challenge in the Woodland Hills Wolverines, but it seemed like they were up to the challenge and they got the victory 21-16.
Yeah, a lot closer than I think a lot of people expected, but at the same time, you're talking about a team that was coming off of 3 weeks rest with no play, and so I think the team responded really well, and how especially in a dogfight with adversity late in the game, I think that'll only serve to benefit them as they advance towards the playoffs. If they take care of business tonight, they should be in line for home field advantage, at least for the first round of the playoffs, so still a lot to play for tonight, even playing against an 0-6 Connellsville Falcons team.
And talking about the Connellsville Falcons, while they have had their struggles this season, a week ago they represented themselves very well in the first half of the game against Penn Trafford. In fact, it was tied at 28 before Penn Trafford rolled off 32 unanswered points to win that game 60-28.
Yeah, they can manufacture some offense with the ground game. They have a dual threat quarterback, so they're able to manufacture some offense, but the defense has really been the issue for them.
We're going to send it down to the field as we are underway in Connellsville, PA. This ball carrying back across the goal line into the end zone over the head of Shamar Price. And it'll be first and 10 for Gateway from the 20.
Yeah, that defense that we talked about just a second ago for Connellsville, they're giving up an average of 49 points a game against. And so while they were able to hang with Penn Trafford through the first half, they still ended up giving 60 points away to the Warriors. We'll see if after a week where they struggled to really get a lot of offense going, the Gators are able to capitalize this week.
So as usual, the Gators go from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. Engel K, the quarterback, setting up in the shotgun. Sidecar to his left is Davis. Two receivers split left and one to the near side right. Handoff to Davis. Big gap over left tackle. Surges forward, picks up about 3. Before he is brought down. Down at the bottom of that pile for Connellsville is George Schultz, the junior running back and linebacker.
Yeah, see them go to Davis here early. Makes sense. See if they can get him a little more involved. They struggled last week. He racked up 94 yards, but it was on 23 carries.
This time the Gators go to the air and the pass complete. And close to first down yardage. As the pass went to Davis, and down at the bottom of the pile again was Schultz, amongst others, for the team in blue. Gators on the near sidelines wearing their white jerseys, black numerals, gold pants, black helmets with the gold Gators in cursive. Far sideline are the Connellsville Falcons wearing their all royal blues. Two receivers right this time for the Gators on this third down and 2 situation. And flags fly before the snap. It's an illegal shift against Gateway, and that's going to push them back 5 yards. So instead of third down and 2, it's going to be third down and 7.
And see if they open things up here a bit. Engel K has been very, very open to throwing the ball down the field, has had a couple of very impressive performances, 10 passing touchdowns on the season. Even more impressively, no interceptions thrown thus far. I know they've only played 3 games, but he's done such an incredible job of taking care of the ball.
Tailback is Nelson. Play action to Nelson as Engel K goes to the air, near side on the right. It's complete to Davis. He has the first down and more as he's brought down at the 35-yard line. Schultz again on the tackle.
Yeah, nice route. Nice ball, play action fake there. You see, puts it right where his receiver can get it, just fits it right into that window. And look at Davis. He was already a little bit past the marker, but a good job keeping his balance there, fighting for a few extra yards.
Gage Gillett also involved on the tackle. Play action again for Engel K. Has Price streaking across the middle. He had sagged behind defenders, but the pass was late. And Zachary David for Connellsville was basically the closest player to that football as it hit the turf near Price.
Yeah, put that one just a little low. Had all day to throw. Great protection by that offensive line. You see, had the man open there right around midfield, but just put that one a little too low for his receiver to be able to make a play on it.
Sideline warning against Connellsville. So that'll bring up 2nd down and 10 after that incomplete pass. Ball's on the 35 on the right hash. Angle K in the shotgun with Nelson set to his left-hand side. Trips to the left as well. Handoff, Nelson running right. The big fella who had an impressive touchdown a week ago lowers his shoulders and picks up a Gateway first down on a gain of 10.
Nelson on the carry. Start by Marietta and Gillette.
Tackle on the play by Joshua Marietta, 6'4" D-back.
Yeah, I was hoping that they would go back to Nelson for some spot carries, and it's interesting. They're switching things up here. Nelson primarily as that sidecar, and Davis out wide as a wideout.
Play action. Angle K looks left, throws left. The pass complete to Price near the midfield stripe. Hauled down by George Schultz, who's been all over the field for Connellsville. Modest gain, maybe a handful to the midfield stripe, and it's 2nd down and 5 from the 50.
Good recovery for Schultz there. Price was all by himself. You see him streaking over and making a good open field tackle there before Price can turn that upfield. And we've seen both of these receivers, Price and Bodie, be able to take short receptions and long receptions and really maximize that yards after reception.
Two receivers split to either side. Angle K in the shotgun with Nelson to his right this time. Hand off to Nelson, running left, running through a D-back who steps up to make the tackle, but still the tackle is made after a gain of about 3.5, and it brings up a 3rd and very manageable 1.5.
Yeah, and they're going forward on every play. Other than one incompletion, everything is going forward. They're getting a great push there in the trenches. They're dominating there, whether it be pass blocking or just getting some avenues to run downfield. Nelson thus far having a little bit of green space to work with.
Bruce Giles on the tackle on that previous play. The 5'8" freshman. This time Nelson bounces it to the outside left, lowers his shoulders as he crosses the 30-yard line, and he'll be brought out of bounds at around the 28-yard line. A flag flew late. We'll have to check in with our officials on this one. But a big run there for Kelvin Nelson, but some of it may be negated as they're pointing towards the Gators.
Yeah, likely a holding call against the offense, although weird that that flag was thrown in the vicinity of Nelson as he was laying the boom along the sidelines.
Officials still trying to figure this one out. 8:32 to play here in quarter number 1. So it's holding against Gateway. Now the Gators picked up the first down on the play. And then after the penalty is marched off, the ball will be placed at the 45, so it's a first down either way. Ultimately, it's a gain of 2 regardless. And that gain of 2 would have gotten them the first down.
Absolutely. Looks like if I was able to read lips correctly, that was on Jacques Taylor. There on the offensive line. Thought it might have been a receiver downfield.
Play action. Angle K. Pressured. Runs left. Dumps it off to Price. Has a blocker in front of him. Picks up 5. Make it close to 10. And they'll say Shamar Price picks up about 9 yards as he kept his feet. Nice block by Davis to help his teammate pick up positive yardage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see here on the replay if Price's knee goes down or his elbow goes down, and all the fans here on the near sidelines rooting for the Falcons obviously thought that was the case. Great job by Angle K, flushed out of the pocket. He's done a great job, and it looks like he might have been able to keep that one up there. Nice effort by Price, but Angle K has done an exceptional job of extending plays and making good throws on the run this year.
2nd and 1. Play action again. Toss to Nelson, running to that far boundary. Tried to turn his way back and ends up losing 3 yards to the 39-yard line. So that'll bring up 3rd down and 4.
Just a shame there. Nelson with some nice soft hands there out of the backfield. The big guy looked like he was going to have some space to run with and make life difficult for the guys in blue there, but just loses his footing.
Gateway calling the play in from the sidelines. Still 10 seconds on the play clock. Angle K is going to hand off to Davis, who surges forward, then cuts it to the left-hand side. He's got the first down. Out of bounds near the 30-yard line with 6:41 to play in the first quarter, and another first down for Gateway.
Say it every week, but life's just a whole lot easier when you've got a Derek Davis on your team, someone that you know you can count on to make plays and to see the field the way he does. Such athleticism, easy first down there, and they keep this drive going, eating up almost half of the first quarter thus far. 6:41 left here. Still 30 yards to go.
A wing and 2 receivers right, 1 receiver left. Hand off to Davis up the middle. Met by a mass of humanity.
Davis on the carry.
Cullen Lynch, 6'1", 300-pound junior, leading the charge
Schaefer on the stop.
for the Connellsville Falcons.
Pick up of about 2 yards. Second down and 8.
Also involved on the stop was Sam Schaefer, 6'1", 280-pound senior. Boy, they got some big defensive linemen up front. Handoff again, big hole for Davis. He is spun down, picking up nice yardage.
Schultz on the stop.
George Schultz again on the tackle.
Davis on the carry.
Yeah, Schultz, a large linebacker, just 5'9", 185 pounds, but he plays a lot bigger than he is, and he's quite a sure tackler.
Handoff, Davis, first down and more inside of the 15, and he'll finally be brought down at around the 12-yard line.
Schultz, Jalot, and
So Gateway with an opportunity to get another first down before hitting pay dirt. It's 1st and 10 at the 12.
You've got to think about throughout this game, you know, you're looking at 7 minutes of possession here, 7 minutes of that defense is out on the field. If Gateway's able to keep this kind of possession numbers up in this running game, it's going to make that defense real tired.
Angle K decides to keep it himself, pulling it out of the belly of Davis, running to the right-hand side, inside of the 10, wrapped and brought down at around the 5-yard line. Zachary David on the tackle for the Connellsville Falcons.
Good decision-making there once again for Angle K. Takes good care of the ball, thinks about the pass for just a moment, sees that the play sort of broken up there. And that's a real nice advantage to have with a quarterback who's able to bring it down. He's not the speediest guy in 5A, but he's able to get to yardage and set them up with.
Yeah, we probably saw the speediest QB in 5A a week ago in Deontay Williams at Woodland Hills. Pitch this time to Davis, sidesteps a tackler and into the end zone he goes. Great open field move for Derek Davis. And a 5-yard touchdown run for the Gators, and Gateway on top, 6-zip, 4:38 to play first quarter.
Yeah, that's just what Davis does. A little shimmy, little shake, able to use that vision and that athleticism to break down the defender, undress them, and get into the 6 there. And again, over 7 and almost a half minutes of possession there for the offense. What a commanding start for the Gators.
And that's exactly what Gateway of it a week ago. Scoring 21 points, we'll grant you that, but they had their struggles at times with Woodland Hills, and that was, quite frankly, the first time this season that Gateway had those struggles, and that may be a great wake-up call looking forward to next week into the playoffs. Bobble on the snap as Angle K snap went a bit awry. Bonzi Parks runs out of there with it, tried to set something up, and as Parks retreated, Colby Keedy caught him and brought him down. And it'll be 6-0 with 4:38 to play here in the first quarter as the conversion attempt fails after the errant snap by Angle K.
38 seconds remaining in the first
You see another look at the touchdown there, the impressive run kick. Just unfortunate. Heads up to Parks for trying to at least pull that out, make a play. Saw there was nowhere to run, tried to backpedal, but obviously Gateway not intending for that play to go sideways, so nobody running off into the end zone. No options for him to try and get that ball deep.
Again, looking forward for Gateway. Next week will be the first round of the WPIAL playoffs. And like you said, Vince, during our quick pregame, that, in all likelihood, a win today gives Gateway a home game next week. And depending on where they get seated, will depend on if they have a path to have a home game for the semifinals the following week.
Yeah, they're ranked second overall in the Trib Live High School sports rankings. Obviously, the second-ranked team is Warwick out near Philly, so they don't factor into that WPIAL playoff picture. So, if they're the two, home field advantage all the way until they get to that final game. But we'll see. Are they the two? Are they the three? What does it look like with, we see this selection committee coming up. They're only going to have played 4 games as opposed to 7 for most of the other teams.
Yeah, the really interesting thing is, will they put Peters Township, who will have played all but one of their games?
Right. Unfortunate that those two teams weren't able to play each other this year.
And we'll see if they match up in the playoffs as they did a year ago in the WPIAL championship game. As this kick by Jenkins carries over the head of the return man, Kyron Craigett.
Kickoff goes into the end zone.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Connellsville at the 20.
A smart decision there for Karan. The ball was trailing over. You catch that, right at the goal line. You got to get that all the way out towards the 20. Might as well just take the touchback there because that one was already trailing into the end zone.
So again, 1st and 10 for Connellsville with the ball at their own 20 in the middle of the field. Quarterback is Gage Gillott. Good snap, and handoff will go to Craigett. And he'll pick up 5 yards, maybe 6.
Taking a look at this Falcons offense, it really does run through Craigett. He has 97 rushes, 714 yards, 9 touchdowns on the season. He's averaging 7.4 yards a pop. Gateway's able to hold him to a little less there, but don't count out the quarterback. Gage Gillett has 44 completions on the year, 700 yards through the air, 7 touchdowns, has thrown 7 interceptions, but has also averaged about 7 yards a rush, can pull that ball down and use his feet effectively as well.
Gillett sets the offense in the pistol with Craigett behind him. Smith shows blitz as the Falcons go to the air. The pass intended to the near side for McCrum.
Gillott's pass intended for McCrum.
And that pass incomplete brings up 3rd and 4 from the 26-yard line.
McCrum, part of a as far as their receiving core goes. He has 13 receptions on the year, averages about 14. Ball to Jason McBride. He only has 14 receptions, but is averaging about 20 yards per. And then Joshua Marietta is that 3rd of the 3. He has 8 for 125 and a touchdown on the season.
Gillett in the pistol on 3rd and about 4.5 from the 25.5. Motion man coming from right to left. Instead, the Falcons will go up the middle. Craigett nowhere to go that time as the Gators stack him up. Aiden Smith, amongst others, in on the tackle. 2nd tackle on the day for Smith. And that brings up still the 4th and 4.5, maybe 4th and 4 this time as the ball gets a little closer to the 26-yard line.
Yeah, see if they've kept most of the same personnel out here. See if they go punt or try and go for it here. You'd think that they'll punt. It looks like they're setting up to do that now. But if you're Connellsville, this is really not what you wanted on offense, because now you put that defense back on the field that just spent 7.5 minutes out there trying to slow down this Gateway offense. You got the Gateway offense that's in a great rhythm. You're putting them right back on the field after they scored a touchdown just about 90 seconds ago.
Snap high, carries over the head of the punter, Gillett, into the end zone. He'll go, and smartly will step back out of the back of the end zone as Gators were converging, and a safety. And 2 points on the board for the Gators, a more unconventional way than the botched snap that could have been a 2-point conversion moments ago.
Yeah, so you give and you take there. It kind of washes out for the Gators, and now you get the ball back after the safety. Interestingly enough, I thought that Gillett may have had a few seconds there to be able to maybe just get a boot on that one quickly, but at the same time, you don't want to fumble it away or get rocked in the end zone. You're the quarterback. You can't risk getting injured, and you don't want to give up a touchdown as opposed to 2 points. So you live to fight another day. But as I said before, you're putting that Gateway offense out on the field that's already in rhythm and just march down the field in short order, taking a ton of time off the clock, but gaining yards every play other than one incompletion. So if you're Connellsville, you've really got to hunker down here and try and limit things or else this game might start getting out of hand early before we get to the second quarter.
You know, Vince, we were talking about how the playoffs are going to be seeded next week. One other consideration is, does that selection committee try to line up Penn Trafford and Gateway, maybe in the 3-6 matchup, or maybe even the 2-7 matchup, to have that de facto conference championship game, so nobody can say, well, Gateway didn't deserve to be the conference champion, should they not have to play Penn Trafford down the road?
Certainly is a compelling argument, and certainly is fair on paper. It'll be interesting to see if that is what they end up going with.
Gillett's kick, a very nice one that'll carry over the head of Davis. He'll retreat all the way back to the 5-yard line. No, that's Price on the return, and Price finds a crease, and he is off to the races. Shamor Price on his way for a 95-yard free kick return for a touchdown.
Yeah, it was a great kick, and it sort of, kind of continued to bounce, but then themselves to get too fixated on that, fell out of their lanes, got sloppy, and you look here, the sea sort of just parts here for Price, and he takes advantage, and I don't believe anyone even gets a hand on him on that 95-yard return.
Very impressive as two Falcons put arms on stride at that point, and like I said, a 95-yard free kick return for a touchdown, not your standard kick return. And that was the true definition of out-kicking your coverage, as that kick is up and in for Jenkins, and that time the trio of Engelke, Bonzi Parks, and the kicker Jenkins were able to come together and put 7 points on the board, and the Gateway Gators hold a 15-0 lead with a couple of unconventional plays.
Yeah, this one's been, the lopsided early, certainly interesting, especially if you're a Gators fan, looking at some of these creative ways and things that have kind of bounced in their favor here early, which is a nice change for a Gators team that had a couple bounces go the other way, some long plays go the other way last week. And, we talked about the playoff matchups. How interesting would it be to see a 2-7 matchup that's a rematch between Woodland Hills and Gateway?
I don't think that you're going to see that, number one, because it's a rematch, number two, because they're in conference. Sometimes it's not a conference game, but the likelihood of seeing a 2-7 Gateway Woodland Hills next week at Gateway is probably unlikely. Add to the fact that that game would be twice in 3 weeks where those teams would play. It may be more likely if it was, the first conference game when Gateway played Franklin Regional and had Franklin Regional qualified for that 7th spot. You got to assume, though, that selection committee, part of what they're going to do is try to line up matchups in week 1 and week 2 in the semifinals, and then let the chips fall as they may headed towards the semifinals and finals. Jenkins kicked this time a little bit short. It'll be returned from around the 6-yard line from Craggett. Craggett found a gap for a moment, but that gap closed quickly. And a host of white jerseys get involved in that tackle, including Jermier Harbor and Aiden Smith. Also in there on the stop for the Gators is Elijah Heller.
And Craggett shows a little bit of vision, a little bit of speed there, but just not enough. Things collapsed quickly. The Gators, unlike the Falcons, did a good job staying in their lane, staying at home, knowing that Craggett is quite the athlete and the biggest threat that the Falcons will bring to the table tonight.
Trips left this time for Connellsville as they set in the shotgun with one receiver to the far side right. Option play, and the quarterback, Gillett, decides to keep it himself, running to the left-hand side, and flags come in. Gillett brought down after a pickup of 8, but maybe a face mask here as well against the Gators to compound the pickup.
Yeah, I think that might have been on Shock Taylor once again.
So it's going to be Derek Davis, the guilty party. And Connellsville finds themselves in Gators territory for the first time today.
Yeah, nice run there, compounded by 15 yards on the personal foul. That'll move things pretty quickly. Like I said, Gillett has about 400 yards on the ground this season, averages about 7.4 a pop. So the run game is really here. See if they can keep that rolling here.
2
See if they can keep that rolling here.
Trips right, run receiver left, handoff, goes up the gut, and a nice pickup for Craggett inside of the 45 to around the 43-yard line. Jaden Hurt on the tackle for the Gators. Hurt the 6'2", 205-pound senior.
And again, for the sake of this Falcons team, points are obviously the name of the game, and they need to get some here. But just possessing the ball, hanging on to it for a while, allowing that defense to rest on the other side, gaining a little bit of momentum in this game, got to be able to put together if you want to stick around in this one.
Tight end and two receivers right, one receiver to the near side left for the Gators. Gillett tries to dump it off on a little pop pass to the receiver out there in the flat. An incomplete pass brings up 3rd down and 4 from the Gators 43.
Yeah, they bring the blitz there with Aiden Smith, and you see someone just missed him there, and he was able to come through unscathed, and that threw that entire play off. So good job there by Smith to get into the backfield before things really got rolling.
Now, it may say 3rd and 10 on your screen, and that's what it says on the scoreboard, but I assure you it's 3rd down and 4 from the 43-yard line. Trips right, one receiver to the near side left. Gateway shows blitz. Gillett rolls to his right, has some pressure, tosses it out there, finds a receiver in front of Shamora Price, and the reception by Gabriel McCrum, the wide receiver.
And that's what a good running game can do. Sets up that rollout and the opportunity. A nice ball there, rolling out to the right. Put that one right on a rope, extended it to where he led his receiver just enough. And nice hit there at the end to get him out of bounds. But fresh set of downs, and Connellsville driving here, see if they can't try and get a few points and get back into this one.
Trips left, one receiver right. Gillett pulls it out of the belly of the tailback and dumps it off to this near side left, and again the pass intended for McCrum is incomplete after what started as an option, then with a pass. The clock and brings up 2nd down and 10.
Looked like if he's floats it, if he was able to get that down, McCrum may have had an opportunity to make the DB Shane Thrift miss, but unfortunately just sort of lobbed that one up there and allowed Thrift to come in and lay the boom, jar that ball loose.
Bunch formation here on 2nd down. Now they will break loose, and it's Wildcat as Craggett is the QB, and he's going to run up the middle, and he is met after picking up a few yards. Host of Gators involved in the tackle, including Bledsoe and Kelvin Nelson.
3 yards, 3rd down and 7. Correction, 3rd down and 7.
So 3rd down and 7 here as clock winds here in quarter number 1. Just under 30 seconds to go here. Trips left. Cragg at the sidecar to the left-hand side of the QB Gillett. And a false start against Connellsville is going to cost them 5 yards. And instead of 3rd and 6 or 7, it's now going to be 3rd and 11 or 12.
That makes things difficult for them here, and it allows this defensive backfield of the Gators to really key in, likely a pass play upcoming, unless Connellsville wants to look at this as 4-down territory, as this will also mark the last play of the first quarter. But be interesting to see what they dial up here against this athletic defense.
Well, that'll do it for our coverage of quarter number 1 through 12 minutes of action. It is Gateway 15, Connellsville 0. They'll give an opportunity for Vince and I to take a breather. You're tuned into Gateway Football on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Play resumes. Connellsville ball. 3rd down and 6.
First play of quarter number 2 upcoming. 3rd down and 11 with the ball at the 31-yard line. The line to gain is the 20. Pressure. And Gillett, he's going to dump it off to Craggett, who slides through one tackle, shuffles his way forward, eluding tacklers, and somehow Connellsville was able to pick up 2 yards where it would have been a 15-yard loss.
Wow. Heads-up play there, heady play by the quarterback to get that into the hands of his playmaker at the last moment, and a really great gain there. See what they do here on 4th down. Looks like they're going to bring out the field goal unit, go for the long kick. Gillett is being recruited at the Division I level, getting a little bit of attention at the kicker position, and so this one looks like it'll be about 45 yards on the left hash.
The holder is Zachary David. Good snap, good hold. Kick up, and the Gators got a piece of it. Gateway racing back. Shamar Price is going to scoop that ball up at around the 4. Picking up some blockers. Racing to the far side, now cutting it back. Still on his feet. Shamar Price has the sideline. Shamar Price is going to go. He's going to go again. 96 yards. There's a flag down, which may negate a great play, but Shamar Price, at least for the moment, with a 96-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You can see his teammates are beside the interesting. I didn't see anything. There was a lot going on down there.
Looks like it's going to be a blindside block against Gateway. That was the indication from the official that threw the flag and is now standing over it. So that would have been, like I said, a 96-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown for Shamar Price.
Yeah, and it's a shame that it won't officially count, but that doesn't take away just the outstanding effort by Price. He must have made at least 10 tacklers miss there.
So after the penalty, it'll be Gateway football. And it'll be half the distance from the 16-yard line. So the ball will be placed at the 8, or it'll be 1st down and 10 for the Gateway Gators. How unfortunate that was.
Absolutely. Again, that might have been the best effort we've seen all season. We've seen some great ones from these playmakers, but my goodness. I mean, he must have ran 30 yards before actually getting forward upfield, going backwards, forwards, making a ton of people miss.
Yeah, it seems about accurate that he raced about 30 before crossing the 10, and then he was just off to the races. So Engelke in the shotgun here on 1st and 10 from the 8, the long field for the Gators. Hand off to Davis, trying to bounce it to the outside left, now cuts it back to the right-hand side. If he turns the corner, he's got greenery in front of him. Davis across the 20, the 30, out towards the 35-yard line where he's finally brought down near the 40, and a touchdown-saving tackle by Zachary David.
Davis on the carry.
Well, maybe this is the formula. Break it back. We saw Davis do a good job of this a couple times last week against Woodland Hills. They were coached well. They got back into their lanes. We'll see if Connellsville adjusts. The second play in a row, one on special teams, now one on defense, where guys over pursue to one side of the field. Running back stops on a dime as Davis can and just cuts it back the other way with a lot of open field to work with.
So some confusion here for the Gators is they're going to have sidecars to Engelke, and flags come in with 2 seconds on the play clock, and we're going to have a Gator lined up in the neutral zone here. That's the second week in a row where we see Gateway called for a neutral zone infraction. This time it looked like it was Hardin Gage over on that far sideline. And you really got to think these officials usually give you the benefit of the doubt. Say, okay, back up. Now you're set. Now you're not offsides. But that wasn't the case there, and it cost Gateway 5. Gators go to the ground as Kelvin Nelson picks up 6 yards on 1st and 15, and now it's 2nd and 9.
Yeah, normally it's a bit of communication. The receiver looks, says, am I good? And usually you'll get that clearance or that no, you got to get back. And Yeah, second week in a row we have seen a little bit of breakdown in that communication, which you don't normally see. It's a good point.
1st and 10, or rather 2nd and 9 for Gateway after Nelson picked up 6. Handoff. This time it's Harbor running left. Lowers his shoulder and gets close to that first down marker. It'll depend on the spot, but a flag is down as well.
Jameer Harbor on the carry.
So there have been a good number of flags against the Gators thus far today. So face mask against Gateway from the 40 is going to push them back to the 25. The line to gain is the 49, so it's 2nd down and 24.
Yeah, self-inflicted wounds. I mean, you have a ton of playmakers, but anytime you make it this difficult on yourself, you're just putting yourself in position to make mistakes or give Connellsville an opportunity. You've got this team down 15 early. Got to capitalize, got to execute, got to put this game away, keep these guys healthy heading into the playoffs.
Again, sidecars to either side of Angle K as Harbor now motions to a one-back set. Setting up the screen, and it's pulled in, and the bobble by Nelson gave him the opportunity to get some separation. And the big fella rumbling again into Connellsville territory. Line and a pickup on that play of 45 yards.
Man, we talk about it, but for such a big guy, looks like a lineman out there. Soft hands, good concentration there, and then look at those legs go. He's able to put on the burners, and it's a last-ditch effort there that saves the touchdown. I don't think we've acknowledged it, but I'm pretty sure the score is wrong on the scoreboard. I want to make sure that people know it is in fact 15-0 still. They have not marked off the 6 points from the long return that was called back.
Good catch, Vince, as a snap goes awry for Angle K. This one as he's brought down at around the 44-yard line. There's Giles in on the tackle.
Unfortunate there, just a bad snap, but I continue to appreciate Angle K's approach to those broken plays. He's done such a good job. You know, in theory, taking a loss like that doesn't look very attractive, but there's a reason. This guy has no interceptions on the season. He takes good care of the ball, makes smart plays, and understands that you don't have to gain the entire field on one play. Live to fight another down here now on 2nd.
And 15 from the 45. Angle K throws it off, and somehow the screen works to Micah McBean, who was able to pick up 7 or 8 yards when it looked like it was going to be an incomplete pass. McBean flashed free, had some blockers in front of him, and a nice pickup brings up 3rd and a more manageable 8.
I believe that's the first time we've called his number this year. There's a few different playmakers getting some touches here early. We saw Jameer Harbor, who's had a few spot carries, but got one there with Davis on the sidelines momentarily. He's back in the game now, but nice to see some younger guys get a few touches.
Hand off, Davis running right. He's got the first down and more, cutting it back inside of the 10, the 5, the end zone, touchdown Gateway. 38-yard TD.
You allow a guy like Davis to get a few plays on the side. Confidence of other guys being able to step in there and make plays. It allows a guy like Davis to refuel those jets, have energy, have his breath back, and then you see he's able to take off. No contest, he is gone. So again, that one, a 30-some yard touchdown, and quickly this one getting a little bit out of hand. It's now 21-0. Scoreboard is now correct once again. We'll see if they're able to get this PAT up and through. Missed the first one. They've had a little bit of issue on that so far this season, but now 2 for 3 on the evening. It'll be 22-0.
Well, it's good to see that the scoreboard's correct. That's a positive thing for the game production. Take a look at a beautiful evening. I can't believe it's 69 degrees with clear skies in southwestern Pennsylvania on the final regular season game of this 2020 football season.
Yeah, it was chilly last week at the Wolverine. I tell you what, it dipped down into the 40s. We brought extra layers, but even that wasn't enough. When we were on those cold bleachers, it was tough. So tonight, definitely nice to be able to be in a polo, and be able to be out here enjoying the nice weather.
Yeah, I had a fleece. I have a fleece on now. I had a golf shirt on before, but I didn't want the temperature to drop midstream, so I decided to put on the Gateway gear and get ready for tonight's football game, because it has gotten a little bit cooler since the sun went down, but it was darn near 80 degrees today, which was just unbelievable, and the sun shone from the time it came up to the time it set.
It was a beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day for late October here in Western Pennsylvania.
Well, let's hope that continues as we head to the WPIAL playoffs. Next week will be the opening round of the WPIAL playoffs. And in all likelihood, it will be back in Monroeville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. I know they only played 4 games. You assume that they're able to put this one away, up 22 here in the first half. But still unblemished. They took care of every challenge that came their way. Hard to knock them for that.
Jenkins' kick carrying all the way back to the 1-yard line, where the Gators, or rather the Falcons, have an opportunity for a return, and a nice return. But then Gators converge, and McCrum hit hard. The ball knocked loose. And Jameer Harbor, amongst others, involved on that tackle.
Yeah, he took a shot there. I'm not exactly sure who the second Gator was in there, but he was already wrapped up and starting to go to the ground just a little bit. And a nice job there to target the ball and try and knock that one loose. Unfortunately, it went out of bounds before any Gator could fall on it. But hopefully this is just a stinger as you see the return man reaching up around his shoulder area.
Yeah, a week ago we saw an issue with one of the Gateway players, and I think it was Bodie, who, got a stinger to his shoulder. At first we thought it could have been something pretty serious as he was carrying that arm low, but he ended up being able to get up and actually get back into the football game. Let's hope that's the same issue here with Gabriel McCrum, the 6-foot senior who has made an impact today for Connellsville thus far.
He has, and so hopefully he's able to continue. He's one of those, as we said, big 3 receivers for the Falcons. And we'll take another look here, see who it's that second person in who's able to lay that hit that not only jarred the ball loose, but really made things painful for McCrum.
Good news is McCrum gets to his feet, and it was, I think, Harbor who got that second hit in, and Remy Bose was the first one there, the freshman for the Gators.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it was almost a byproduct of Bose falling on top of the return man as he fell to the turf, more so than maybe that second hit, but it sure didn't help. It was slowed down there a bit on the replay, but Harbor certainly was coming in with a great deal of speed.
Let's see what the Falcons can do offensively here, as they have had minimal success thus far.
We started to get things moving a little bit with that run game, but nothing going over the top with the passing game, which made them one-dimensional.
Falcons go to the ground. Craggett surging forward. He came out of nowhere and ended up having to be wrapped at the waist and brought down by Shane Thrift. Certainly looked like nowhere to go for Craggett, but he ended up picking up about 7 on that play.
He's a tough downhill runner. With him in the backfield, there was a lot of optimism coming into this season for Connellsville. The headline on their Tribline High School Sports Preview was that this was the year they've been waiting for, and now we know, unfortunately, those results haven't panned out, even though they've been in a few close games. But that hasn't diminished Craggett's abilities, averaging 119 yards per game against some stiff competition.
Motion man from left to right. And Gillet's going to keep it himself. Close to the first down marker. And they will give him the first down on the gain of 3 on 2nd and 3. Talking about this Connellsville team, you talked about how they had some high hopes coming into this season. And I read an article early in the year about Marco Thomas and his dad, Sonny. Father-son combination, which is not something you see quite often, especially when it's the son as the head coach and the dad as the assistant coach.
And this will be the last season for the dad, as he has been on the sidelines for nearly 5 decades. I think over 5 decades. I was reading earlier this week as well, and that kind of longevity is really something that is special, and I'm sure for the Sun, it's something that those two have been able to really enjoy together.
Gillett hands off. Craggett surging forward. Out across the 30 is brought down. Several Gators involved in the tackle. Leading the charge for Gateway is Jameer Harbor. Getting back to Marco Thomas, more importantly his son, or his dad, Sonny Thomas. Last time I saw Sonny Thomas in person was on this field in the 1994 WPIAL first-round playoff game when he was an assistant coach at Woodland Hills.
Yeah, he has quite the history. He's coached around North Braddock, Woodland Hills, Penn Trafford, Gateway, oddly enough, Hempfield, York, Southmoreland, and even at the college level with Geneva College.
Pressure on Gillett, and he'll throw it out to that left-hand side as he got it out of there long before. And Shane Thrift on the coverage as the pass was intended for George Schultz. Or was that Marietta 84? Yeah, it was 84, Marietta.
It's good that he got rid of it when he did, because he had Jaden Hurt bearing down on him quickly. It would have been a blindside sack that may have jarred the ball loose, but good internal clock there. Got the ball deep, just too much on it there.
Power pistol set up for Connellsville on 3rd down and 4. Now the fullback crabs from left to right. And a timeout is called.
Timeout, Connellsville.
By the Connellsville Falcons. That's the first timeout for the Falcons. Gateway still has all 3 of their timeouts. We'll take this opportunity to take a breather. You're tuned into Gateway Football on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and on Facebook.
Pleasant Valley Golf Club, Clubhouse Pizzeria, South Connellsville Fire Department, the Bigham and Shreve families, Keaty's Pizza, the 20 Club, Rubo's Restaurant, and Fox's Tavern. The football team will also be hosting a cash bash with the South Connellsville Firemen on Saturday, November 7th from 4 to 8 at the Fire Hall. Total of $21,000 will be given away. A small number of tickets are still available. Please see a parent, officer, or club member. Also, this is the cash bash that was to be held in March. Please take time to stop at a Spirit Shack for all Falcon apparel. And the Falcon blanket would make a great gift.
Time to take a look at the Trib Live top 5. Talked about the top 2 already in Pine Richland and Gateway, but Peters Township, they remain undefeated at 5-0. The Penn Trafford Warriors 4-1, and the South Fayette Lions at 4-2. So 2 teams out of the Southern Conference, 2 teams out of the Big East, but that Northern Conference, just 1 representative in the top 5 with the Pine Richland Rams.
Big matchup tonight. South Fayette, Upper St. Clair winner guaranteed a playoff spot. See if we can find a score for that one in a little bit.
Gillett trying to run the option to the left-hand side, and he is brought down shy of the first down marker. Jacques Taylor, amongst others, in on the stop.
Interesting. It'll really be interesting to see who they go with at that 2 seed, whether it is Gateway or it is Peters. Peters playing close to a full schedule, and assuming they stay unblemished tonight, see if they go with them or the Gators, who have continued to get hype in the state rankings.
Yeah, you've got to think, rankings have a lot to do with talent. Sometimes seedings have to do with performance. As Connellsville's going to go for it here on 4th down and a long 2, and the quarterback, Gillett, has enough for a Connellsville first down. Jacques Taylor slow to get to his feet, but will stay out on the field at least for the moment.
Connellsville's been able to put together now 2 drives where they've been able to move the chains multiple times, but I just don't know if I have confidence in their ability to make a big splash play or really get themselves enough momentum to really feel like they're back into this one. They still have over 3.5 minutes left to do it here in the first half, but going in with a goose egg into the half after letting one get away from you against Penn Trafford last week. See if that snowballs here, especially this last game of the season. See if they start to tune out a little bit.
Connellsville 1st and 10. The ball at their own 37. A clock-eating drive for the Falcons as Craggett, the ball carrier, carries it out across the 40.
Ball carrier Craggett.
Shane Thrift on the tackle for Gateway.
Shane Thrift on the stop.
And Craggett,
Pick up about 5
good job
yards.
there with the
Second
little
down
jump
and
cut.
5.
Sees a couple Gators, gets past one, and is able to continue to move that momentum forward for an extra couple yards to set up second and pretty manageable.
Second and about 6 for Connellsville as they send trips to the right. Handoff, Craggett. Nothing doing this time as he is wrapped in the backfield by Hunter Dow and dragged backwards. They'll give him an initial surge of about a yard, but it'll bring up 3rd down and 4.
Craggett into the power.
A little update for anyone who may be interested, but Upper St. Clair up 16-7 on South Fayette in a de facto play-in game for the playoffs. Both teams sitting at 4-2. Latrobe also up 21-14 on Woodland Hills late in the first half.
And that's important for Woodland Hills because if they get a win, you've got to think they're a favorite to get a wild card. If they lose to Latrobe, chances are they sit home next week. Straight drop back for Gillett. Now he's wrapped and now sacked. The Gators were all over him. He eluded the first wave, but Kelvin Nelson and Hunter Dow cleaned it up. And a big loss for Connellsville brings up 4th down and about 9.5.
Yeah, Nelson starts pushing on you. You're going to go backwards. There's no real way to get through that. He is just such an impactful force back there. You see a good job staying on the feet there, but he just picks him up, moves him like the sled during practice. That'll bring up 4th down.
Well, that was not a enviable position. Jacques Taylor came at him first. He dodged that bullet, stepped through a tackle from Diego Bledsoe, and then he had Kelvin Nelson come in there and clean up the tackle.
You know, one silver lining, Nelson did not have a whole head of steam. He kind of sidestepped a blocker, so he really didn't have a whole lot of momentum coming. I mean, a guy like Nelson running at you, who we've seen has a great deal of speed for his size, that's, as you said, not an enviable position whatsoever.
Gateway uses a timeout here, and this gives us an opportunity to talk a bit more about this playoff situation. We talked about the fact that Woodland Hills, if they lose today to Latrobe and they're trailing in the second quarter by 7, that's going to probably knock them out of the playoffs. And you got to think, who are the 2 wild cards going to be? In all likelihood, if Upper St. Clair beats South Fayette, you probably see them get one of the wild cards. Is Penn Hills the other wild card?
Well, they're up early tonight. They've put together a decent season. You know, they've got to be hoping for a Woodland Hills loss because not only does 5-2 Woodland Hills likely get them in, but even at 4-3, you know, they lost that head-to-head matchup. So I still think you give the advantage to the Wolverines. They've played a tough schedule, and if they get the victory tonight, their only 2 losses are a blowout to Penn Trafford and a tight loss to Gateway. Not a bad resume going into the postseason.
Another thing that may be in Penn Hill's favor is they may be able to finish number 2 in that Northern Conference and get the automatic qualifier, and then it gets even muddier as you look towards that wild card. High snap, but this time it's gathered in by Gillett, and a punt will bounce into the hands of the return man, Yusuf Mendoza. And Mendoza trying to slide his way forward and will be brought down at the 25-yard line. So not much there for Mendoza, who gets the nod at the punt and return spot after we've seen some issues with Patrick Bodie, who incidentally is not in uniform today. He is wearing a jersey but a red baseball cap on the sideline.
Yeah, you take what is given, you take care of the ball, and that's all you can really ask for. This offense has made quick work of things. 44 seconds left here, though. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive they get setting up shop here at the 24. Maybe you set up a screen pass to Davis, see if he's able to make something happen quickly and, you know, maybe go for broke from there, or, you know, maybe you get a little bit complacent and sit on a 22-point lead, play it safe, and take this big lead into halftime.
Engelke off of play action, runs to his right, throws, finds a wide open Derek Davis on that sideline, and he walks the tightrope and steps out of bounds. With 35 seconds to go, Derek Davis takes it out near midfield.
Well-designed play and smart execution there. Good job, Engelke, staying in bounds himself, putting that ball on a rope. Davis, the awareness to stay in bounds while making the reception, and then not trying to cut that one back inside. I mean, Gateway does still have 2 timeouts, but you save one by stepping out of bounds, and now you've got the ball right at around midfield with 35 seconds to go here.
2 receivers split to either side, straight drop back for Engelke, setting up the screen to Davis. Has blockers in front of him, inside of the 45 to the 40, and smartly steps out of bounds at around the 35-yard line. And right there is an indication of a smart player who's seen a lot of football in 4 years.
Absolutely. I mean, that experience is so invaluable, and he's played in so many big games where you really have to pay attention to those small details that really decide wins and losses. And again, you've saved both of the timeouts. You take 9 seconds off the clock. You move the ball forward another 25 yards. Things are clicking well. They have a lot of opportunity here to really add on to this lead and make this one out of reach by halftime.
Engelke, low snap. Looks right, throws right. Again to Davis, and the pass is intercepted by Connellsville, or will they say incomplete? Incomplete, as the ball caromed off of Davis' chest plate. It went sky high, and James Barnes couldn't pull in the INT for the home team.
See if we get a little more clarity here on the replay. See it bounce off of the hands of the receiver, and it did look like that one hit the ground. You see that Barnes did not have that one fully scooped under him as he turned his body. The bounce, and you see there, yeah, he doesn't come up with it in his hands. You can tell by that it had hit the ground.
Engelke pressured, flush to the right, directing traffic. Tucks, runs to the far boundary and steps out of bounds at around the 30-yard line. That ate up a lot of clock.
I was just going to say, you know, you've got to keep that in mind. Yeah, you're driving here, things are going well, but that clock down to 10 seconds left. You've got the ball at about the 31. See if they try and take a deep shot here. Engelke was a little rusty last week, but in the first 2 games of the season was so dynamic with the deep ball.
And I'll tell you, I think Engelke looks a lot better this week than he did a week ago. It seems like now he's gotten the rust out completely, and he's not playing with, you know, the majority of his top receivers. Bodie out, Price on the sideline, as he has been hampered with an injury of sorts. Toss to Davis. He catches it at the 9-yard line, spinning out of bounds, and the Gators are going to use one of their timeouts here.
Yeah, so now you decide whether or not you want to bring out the field goal unit on the hash. My inclination is that they will likely take a shot at the end zone here, but there is that deep ball. Davis was able to find some great separation, a soft spot in that defense. And again, Engelke, a great deep ball, good touch on it, puts it right into the breadbasket there. Davis able to grab that one, see the defender, take the hit, take the ball to the ground. But now we have a bit of a conference, see what's happening here with the officials. I didn't see any laundry on the field. See what the call is upcoming.
An eligible receiver downfield against the Gateway Gators. Wow. Well, that hurts Gateway, because instead of 1st and goal at the 8-yard line, now the Gators are going to be backed up from the line of scrimmage, which currently stands at the 34-yard line.
Yeah, that's a real shame, because now you go from having an opportunity, the ball now placed at the 44-yard line, to where almost consider taking a knee and just heading into the half with a 22-point lead instead of chalking one up into the end zone that might get intercepted. But be interesting to see here. Wouldn't be surprised if they set up another bubble screen, or maybe try and catch one of these receivers streaking across the middle, because then again, you get one of these guys in open space, it can make a lot of special things happen. But super unfortunate there. They had 1st and goal at the 7 before that call.
Gateway with a full allotment of a play clock to work with here. And that's the good news, because things had gone awry, at least for a moment. So the Gators with trips to the left and 1 receiver to the far boundary right. Engelke, play action. Looks left, throws left. The pass is complete. And the receiver was down, and that'll do it for half number one. A stat sheet stuffer as Engelke finds McBean for the final play of that second quarter, and we will go to halftime with Gateway on top of Connellsville, 22-0. Well, some good news here, Vince, really with Gateway is the way they've been able to move the ball in the air. We saw the ground game work well, but that last drive showed that Engelke is back as far as being able to be a quarterback that you can rely on. Last week looked rusty and struggled at times.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I didn't know if we were heading into the break yet or not, but man, Engelke really has looked good. He's put good touch on the ball. He's made good decisions. You know, that one was almost intercepted off of a tip pass, but it was in the hands of the receiver. Everything he's touched tonight has turned to gold. He's even made more plays than we've previously seen with his legs. So I think he's played out, incredible football tonight, and I expect him to do that in the second half.
And Gateway has a shortened bench, and I think that is really a good sign for Gateway is the way they've been able to play. Obviously, Davis has had his time in and out of the lineup today, but Price has been sidelined for the majority of the second quarter. We didn't see Bodie in uniform. So having a shorter bench but still being able to put up 22 points, get the passing game rolling, run the ball well, that's a good sign headed to the postseason.
Yeah, you're seeing other guys step up, and, if injuries occur, things like that, you've got to know that the guys behind can step up. You've got McBean making a nice reception there. He has a couple grabs in the game thus far. Kelvin Nelson continues to impress. He's always moving the ball forward every time he gets it. He's had a couple streaky runs. So, yeah, no shortage of playmakers for this Gateway offense.
Conversely, Gateway defense pitching a shutout, and we have seen them look very good. They have really done everything they've needed to do to keep Connellsville off the board. And other than a couple of drives that killed some clock and got some inconsequential first downs, the Gators defense has held strong.
That's all you can ask for. Craggett is going to make plays. He's going to find some openings. But if you can keep him from breaking that long touchdown run and really swinging momentum in any consequential way, that's all you can really ask for. They're going to gain some yards, going to gain some first downs. They have some talent on the other side. But, bend, don't break, continue to be physical, and so far so good for them.
Well, we are going to step away here and let you see an encore performance of the Gateway Marching Band. And when we return late in halftime, we'll get you set for the second half. You're tuned in to Gateway Football on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and on Facebook.
Of the Student Council National Technical Honors.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the field the 2020 Gateway High School Marching Band. The marching band this year has worked as hard as ever through difficult times to bring you their 2020 show. Using music from Star Trek and Gustav Holst's suite, The Planets, the Gateway Band is proud to present the first three movements of their 2020 show, Orbit. Now, under the field direction of drum majors Rebecca Burns, David Clark, and Ashwarya Krishnamurthy, it is my pleasure to present to you the Gateway High School Marching Band. The Gateway Marching Band is under the direction of Mr. James Helchie, with assistance from Mr. Sean McMasters, Mr. Ryan Moser, and Mr. Dave Verno. Color Guard Directors, Mrs. Deb Cosley and Mr. Robert Reed. The Gateway Band would like to thank the Gateway School District Administration, School Board, and community for their continued support. Once again, thank you for your support, and have a good night.
Set to begin the second half momentarily here in Connellsville, Pennsylvania. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, as well as on the Gateway Football Broadcast Facebook page. Good to have you along with us on a beautiful Friday night for high school football in late October. And right now the Gateway Gators leading the Connellsville Falcons 22-0, and Gateway's had the opportunity to have some more points on the board. A big block field goal return for a touchdown by Shamar Price was negated by penalty. And then a pass to Derek Davis that set the Gators up inside of the 10 with about 3 seconds to play in the second quarter was negated by a penalty. So those two penalties took points off the board, as many as 14 and as few as 10 in that circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. And while, against a team like Connellsville where you find yourself up 22-0 at the half, you're clearly the superior team with superior athletes out on the field, you're about to enter into the playoffs, only having played 4 games. We've really got to focus in on those little details, because those are going to be the difference when you run into the Penn Traffords, Peter Township, Pine Richland, you name it. Those are going to be make it or break it plays. They made those plays last week against Woodland Hills, but they've got to keep focusing on those little details, or else those are the things that are going to bounce you from the playoffs pretty quickly.
Now, before we stepped away at the half, we talked about the fact that Gateway has seen their bench thin a little bit. We'll see if we see Shamar Price return to the lineup. It seemed unlikely. It seemed like he's trying to fight some sort of stomach bug. And, of course, we said Patrick Bodie already not in full uniform today.
And again, tonight things are looking pretty good thus far, so a good opportunity to figure out, are there a few guys that might be able to contribute or step up in a special way in the playoffs? Kelvin Nelson's someone I've really enjoyed watching thus far. He's made some spectacular plays on both sides of the ball, but they've got some different receivers they're throwing out there, and it gives you an opportunity to give a different look or maybe throw some different options out against opponents in the playoffs.
Speaking of those playoffs, as the second half progresses, we'll take an opportunity to run through some of the scores around the WPIAL, because there are certainly some games that are going to have an impact, not just on playoff qualifiers, but playoff seeding as well.
Absolutely. We saw Penn Hills with a big lead going into the half. Woodland Hills down by a touchdown. We saw Peters Township with just a 6-point lead over West Allegheny. That's probably the biggest game in terms of Gateway's focus, because if they lose, it creates a clear path and little controversy in giving Gateway the 2 seed. But if they win and stay unblemished, then you've got a real conversation about who is that 2 seed, whether it is Gateway with 4 wins or Peters Township with 6.
And like we said, Vince, one thing I think is key is not only is that selection committee going to have to worry about seeding as far as the way the players played, but they're going to also have to concern themselves with some matchups, whether they're trying to avoid conference rematches or if they're trying to line up some opponents that haven't met quite, kind of like Gateway and Penn Trafford.
It'll be interesting to see how they sort it all out. One thing I know is I don't envy the position of those that have to make all of those decisions.
Gateway will kick off to begin the second half as the Gators receive to begin this football game, and the Gators turn that opening drive into the first 6 points of the game as this kick by Jenkins carries a few yards deep into the end zone, and Connellsville will start 80 yards away from pay dirt to begin this third quarter.
Good to see Jenkins really get a hold of that one. He left a few up right around the 1-yard line, puts no doubt about it in that one, and their kick coverage has been spotty throughout this season, so best bet is to put it in the back of the end zone and allow that defense to get out there and swarm around this Connellsville offense that has really struggled to get anything going and has looked pretty one-dimensional with the run game.
Shamar Price does return to the lineup at a D-back spot here to begin half number 2 for the Gateway Gators as Connellsville sets up in the pistol. They fake the end around and go up the gut with the ball carrier Craggett. And he is met by a wave of white jerseys. Hunter Dow in on the stop. Also Jaden Hurt in on the tackle.
Yeah, not a whole lot going there. Good to see Price back in the lineup. That's going to be really big moving forward for the Gators. even though it looked like it was just sort of a minor inconvenience. You allow, again, these guys to get a little more game action. They're only coming out of this regular season with 4 games being played, so all of that experience, all of that chemistry that you're able to build over that time is more crucial than it is over the course of a normal 9-10 game schedule.
Connellsville sends trips to the left and one receiver to the short side right, and a shotgun with sidecar to the left of the quarterback, Gillett. Craggett spinning his way to the line of scrimmage where he's met by Aiden Smith and Jaden Hurt. He tried to search his way across the line of scrimmage and picked up about a yard before being driven back by the second wave of white jerseys.
That was a hard-earned yard by Craggett. I really appreciate the way that he runs the ball. You look, he's got a lot of fight in him every time he gets the ball, shaking off, with a big stiff arm there. He's not the biggest guy, but he's got a lot of mass to him, a lot of muscle. And he's hard to move. He's hard to bring down.
3rd and 9 for Connellsville as they send twins to either side. Sidecar to the right-hand side of Gillett. Motion man from right to left, and Connellsville's going to run a reverse after the end around, but nothing doing as Luke Brandner is met 1 yard deep in the backfield. I think it was Bonzi Parks making the tackle, but there's also a flag down in the backfield to compound the issue for Connellsville.
Yeah, not only did they not get it, but you've got a foul against. Likely it'll be declined, but we'll see what the call is here.
Yeah, decision up to head coach Don Hall, and he will decline the penalty. And we'll say that the Falcons got back to the line of scrimmage, so it's 4th down and 9, and the punt unit on for Connellsville.
A quick 3 and out for the Gators. Not caught sleeping. They tried a couple different things there, tried the trick play with the reverse, but good job again by Gateway staying at home, staying disciplined. Now you get a 3 and out and a chance to get that offense back on the field, capitalize, and put this one out of reach here early in the second half.
Again, the snap high, and Gillett able to pull it in, and a end-over-end punt will bounce in favor of Connellsville, but catching it on a dead run is Mendoza. Mendoza still on his feet to the 40-yard line, and a nice return for the Gators sets them up 1st and 10 inside of Falcons territory.
Yeah, he was able to run up on that one like a ground ball, fielding it and taking off, and so he was already coming from a place of speed once he had the ball in his hands, and that paid dividends. He was able to make a few miss, kind of swerving in and out of traffic there. Nice return, sets him up with excellent field position. They only got 40 yards to go to get this one to pay dirt.
Ball's on the right hash for the Gateway Gators, who, as usual, come from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. Price will start the second half on offense as well as he did on defense. 2 receivers left, 1 to the far boundary right. Handoff, Davis going to the right, then cutting it back to the left inside of the 30 where he's finally spun down near the 26-yard line. And it's 1st and 10 for Gateway at the Connellsville 27.
And Davis has done a good job the last couple weeks of being able to cut that ball back across the field, and he has that ability with that speed to move laterally so much faster than the defenders do.
Angle K, going to throw it back to Price on the option coming to the near side, and Shamar Price is going to pick up a 1st down for Gateway as he's forced out of bounds at the 12, maybe 13-yard line.
A low-risk play there with high upside. You just pitch it backwards and try to see if you can't catch the defense sleeping, getting sucked into the ball carrier. They stay at home relatively well there, but still enough of a room there and enough speed for a 1st down.
Angle K off of play action finds Diego Bledsoe as he threaded the needle to Bledsoe, and Bledsoe pushes and shoves his way down to the 1-yard line, where it'll be 1st and goal for the Gateway Gators.
I saw Bledsoe get some action in that first game. Good size, good hands.
They'll say at the 2, and Derek Davis into the end zone for the 2-yard touchdown run. And Gateway extends their lead to 28-0 on the 2-yard touchdown run for Derek Davis in a terribly efficient drive for the Gateway Gators as they Went to the ground once to start the drive, to the air in the middle, and then back to the ground into the end zone.
Yeah, couldn't have really drawn it up any better than that. They execute on all fronts. Looked really, really easy and really, really efficient, as you said, for them. Best drive of the night thus far for Gateway.
Low snap by Engelke, but the hold by Parks is down and clean, and Jenkins' kick is up and in. And with 9:07 to play in the third quarter, Gateway has extended their lead to 29-0 on the Connellsville Falcons.
Davis with his third touchdown of the night. If he is able to cross the goal line one more time, which will be interesting to see how much they continue to use him with the playoffs upcoming and this one starting to get a little bit lopsided, he would get double-digit touchdowns in a 4-game regular season. That's no small feat.
And think about the fact that you add to his double-digit touchdown performance, but you also saw the way Price played in game one, the way we saw Patrick Bodie play in game number 2 last week, a real team effort for the Gateway Gators, where we saw, Davis run well, but of course Kelvin Nelson kind of stole the show with that big run that sealed the deal. Yeah,
and Engelke has 9 touchdown passes on the season thus far, so he's got a good amount of production. Obviously has great playmakers around him, but you got to have a quarterback that can put the ball where it needs to be and take care of it. No interceptions on the season, 9 touchdown passes, and so they have a just dearth of great offensive talent that's going to really help them during the playoff run.
Jenkins' kick, again, will carry this time to the back of the end zone, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Connellsville again from the 10-yard line.
Yeah, he's got the wind at his back, which helps a little bit, but the last couple he's really gotten under. PATs are looking good. They've been able to get the snap down, the hold good, and so, again, at the high school level, having a consistent or a steady kicking game and that opportunity to be able to get points on the board in that way, it's going to be big for Gateways. They're going to find themselves in some close games, just like last week against Woodland Hills, as they go forward into the playoffs.
Taking a look of the smattering of fans, both for Connellsville on the near side and the Gators over there on that far side. And good to see Gateway bring a nice contingent of fans from Monroeville on the long trek down 119 to Connellsville, Pennsylvania. As Connellsville goes to the ground, and it's Kyron Craggett, and a flag down as Craggett picked up a decent chunk of yards on that first down play.
Looks like it's going to be a holding call once again against the Falcons.
So it is holding against
the Falcons.
The Connellsville Falcons.
Going to be marked off back to the 15-yard line. There it is. 1st and 15.
So the flag happened 5 yards down the field, which pushes the Falcons back 5 yards, so it's 1st and 15 as the flag happened at the 25. Gators show blitz and a diving INT by Derek Davis.
Beautiful grab. The ball a little bit underthrown, but credit to Davis. He was the more aggressive one there with the ball in the air. Take another look. The receiver has an obligation there to play a little defense at the end, but it was Davis who made the cut for the ball, was in better positioning, and made the play.
So a nice diving INT for Davis with an opportunity to put the Gators ahead of the Falcons. And it would set up a circumstance where we move to the modified timekeeping system.
This now creates a short field ball at the 36-yard line.
Trips right. Gateway off of play action. Toss to the right for Davis. Davis wiggling through traffic. It is brought down after a gain of a half dozen, a flag down. As this crew has done their fair share of throwing the flags today.
Calling Lynch on the stop. So again, there's a flag.
So a formation penalty against Gateway is going to cost them 5 yards. As they had trips to that right, and apparently the guy on the end of the line of scrimmage was covering up another guy that was an eligible receiver on the line.
Back to the 41-yard line.
They got a few things to work on in that regard, making sure they get off of the line in the right way. We saw some false start penalties last week where receivers were taking off a little early in the Woodland Hills game. And again, you're 2 weeks into, basically season 2.0 after having a 3-week break after your first 2 games. So not totally unexpected.
Gateway going to the ground, and not a whole heck of a lot of room that time for Kelvin Nelson, the ball carrier. Schultz involved in the tackle for Connellsville, who has been involved in a whole heck of a lot of tackles for the Connellsville Falcons. He's going to be a sore young man tomorrow. 5'9" junior.
You got to applaud the stamina, the fact that he's been able to stand in there against a really physical Gators team and continue to make plays. He's been all over the field tonight.
Yeah, Schultz and Giles diminutive at their linebacker spots, as this time it's Davis pushing offensive linemen in front of him, and he will pick up a big chunk of yards, making it a manageable 3rd down inside of the 30 at the 29.
Bruce Giles on the stop.
You talk about a high IQ there. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, and the victim that time is Baron Fowler. He's like, just going to set you up there so I can get past you here.
And what was funny is he pushed Fowler in the direction of 2 Falcons, which allowed Davis to squirt left and pick up some more positive yards. Handoff, Davis again. He's got the 1st down inside of the 25. They'll mark him down near the 24 before being shoved back.
Along with Zach David. It's good for
Nice to see them continue with the ground game here, because not only do you continue to get closer and closer to the end zone, but you milk that clock and keep this game moving. Less likely to see anyone get injured.
Option to the right. Engelke tucks, lowers the shoulder, and picks up the 1st down.
I was waiting for the pitch there. He had Davis there on the outside, but keeps it himself. Little burst of speed is able to pick up the 1st down, and so Engelke showing the dual threat that, again, we really haven't seen much this season because he really hasn't had to. The first 2 games, they had such success taking the lid off of the defense with the deep pass that Engelke really didn't scramble a whole lot.
Engelke hands off. Davis. Big hole. Davis inside of the 5, muscles his way across the goal line. And Gateway up 35-zip with 6:16 to play here in quarter number 3.
So asking, you shall receive. That's touchdown number 10 on the season for Davis, as we talked about. He's able to find the end zone for the 4th time tonight. It's the 2nd time this season he's had a 4-touchdown game, and that one, like you said, is going to take us to that modified timekeeping system.
Jenkins into going after out of the hold of Bonzi Parks.
Good snap by Engelke. Parks gets the hold down, and the kick by Jenkins is up and in. And with 6:16 to play in the 3rd quarter, Gateway on top of Connellsville, 36-0. And as we take another look at our replay, huge hole over left tackle to allow Davis to get down towards the goal line. Then he made it happen himself with the strength as he crosses that goal line and into the end zone.
Yeah, a lot of credit to the line on both sides, offense and defense, for Gateway. They've done such a good job of controlling the line of scrimmage and thus dictating the pace of play and how this game has been determined. Offensively, they're getting a great push on run plays. They're doing a great job of protecting Engelke on pass plays. And on defense, as we've seen, Craggett and that offense for the Falcons has just been stopped before they've really been able to get anything going. And so it's just been complete domination in the trenches so far tonight.
Temperature just dropping a couple of degrees here in the 2nd half, 67 degrees, as the humidity has bumped up a bit as well. Still a beautiful night for late October high school football in southwestern Pennsylvania. Good to have you along with us on the Trib Live High School Sports Network as well as on Facebook. We will have coverage of the 1st round of the WPIAL playoffs next Friday night. And like we said, in all likelihood, it will be in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Jenkins kick again into the end zone.
Kick goes into and out of the end zone.
Jenkins clearly in rhythm. He's feeling it. We're going to try and keep scores rolling over to everyone as we look throughout the night at what's happening in this last week of the season. Here you take a look at the Big East standings and how things stand at the moment. Penn Trafford, one thing I saw that was interesting on Twitter, if they win tonight, they will end up with the most wins in the conference, but they will not be awarded a conference championship because of the disparity in number of games played.
Gateway all over that QB. Gillett, nowhere for him to go. Gang of white jerseys there.
Number 12 on the stop, Aiden Smith.
One game to keep an eye on. Just a moment ago, Peters Township scoring another touchdown to extend their lead 20-7. Again, that game, interesting to see who's going to ultimately end up with that number 2 seed. Obviously, we're making an assumption that Pine Richland will receive the number 1 seed, which another game which I really wish we would have been able to see with Gateway schedule getting shortened a little bit due to COVID.
Yeah, that game up in Pine Richland. Oh, interception by Jacques Taylor. And Taylor, the big fella with the INT, is going to be brought down at the 4-yard line.
Intercepted by Jacques Taylor.
Absolute domination. You know, everyone's getting in on it now. Everything is just coming up roses for Gateway in this game. Take another look at the replay. What an excellent play there. They get the pressure. Look, he reads that so incredibly well. Saw that the quarterback was dropping back to pass while being pressured. Knew that ball was going to be a little off kilter. And he just translates that one. He was hoping he was going to get 6, probably thought he was, but he gets caught just short of pay dirt.
So JT with the INT, and it'll be 1st and goal for the Gateway Gators as the clock winds to about 5 minutes to play here in quarter number 3.
See if they go to Kelvin Nelson, get him a touchdown for the 2nd straight week. He's had a few totes so far tonight, but so far has been limited. Last week he had that nice 23-yard burst to the end zone against Woodland Hills, which proved to be a huge difference maker in a 5-point game.
Handoff, Nelson gets to the line of scrimmage and no further as he's driven back by a host of blue jerseys.
Credit there. You know, we've been talking about this line for the Gators, but my goodness, the defensive pressure there by the Falcons. They were just able to break the levee that time, got through, and nothing going there for Nelson.
Yeah, James Barnes led the charge for Connellsville. Colin Lynch cleaned things up for the Falcons. Gateway using the play clock to their advantage as the game clock rolls as well in the latter stages of this 3rd quarter. And off of play action, Engelke looked to throw left, but the pass is incomplete.
Engelke's pass, batted down, incomplete. 3rd down.
And that'll bring up 3rd down and goal from the 4 after this interception by Jacques Taylor set Gateway up deep inside of Connellsville territory.
We haven't seen too many incompletions tonight from Engelke. He has been on the money, and his receivers, for the most part, you know, there's some drop issues last week. There was the one that bounced off and was almost intercepted tonight, but other than that, it's been a really steady effort by this offense.
Now the referee throws a flag. And it's a legal substitution against the Gateway Gators. And Shmore Price, I think, ran on late. And I think Price may have put 12 men on the field. And a timeout is taken by the Gateway Gators with 2:57 to play here in the 3rd quarter. It's 3rd and goal from the 9 for Gateway as they look to add to their lead after the interception by Jacques Taylor. Take a quick break. You're tuned in to Gateway Football on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Winthrop 20-7 over West Day. Penn Trafford 49-7 over Franklin Regional. Upper St. Clair 29-14 over South Fayette, and Moon 23-7 over Bethel Park. Searching for now. 26-24 Woody High, third quarter.
Just under 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. It's 3rd and goal for Gateway with the ball at the 9-yard line. Gateway looking to take advantage of an interception by two-way lineman Jacques Taylor. Play action. Engelke looks left. Davis 3 steps behind a defender, pulls it in for a Gators touchdown.
Calling his number once again. This time, first time this evening through the air. But now 5 touchdowns on the evening for Davis. Such a special athlete. And you feel for some of these seniors having such a truncated season, even though you could also argue that at one point it looked pretty unlikely they would even have a senior season. But he's certainly making the most of it. His production has not gone down whatsoever, even though it's only been a 4-game regular season for Davis.
And earlier we saw Derek Davis move into double digits with touchdowns, and now we see Engelke in double digits with touchdown passes.
10 on the season, and again, I can't stress enough, no interceptions through about 3 3/4 games thus far. All you can ask for is a quarterback who puts the ball where it needs to be, keeps it from the people that shouldn't have it. And he's done a remarkable job leading this offense so far this season. What a field general.
So again, we don't know who Gateway will play next week, but it will be the first round of the WPIAL playoffs. And like we said, in all likelihood, will be at Anna Marino Stadium on the campus of Gateway High School. And of course, we will have the coverage for you right here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Talked about Gateway and their truncated schedule, missing games against Pine Richland, Latrobe, and Penn Trafford. And those 3 cancellations were bookended by victories against Franklin Regional and Bethel Park in weeks 1 and 2, and then in weeks 6 and 7, wins at Woodland Hills and at Connellsville, because with 2:51 to play, it's 43-0 Gateway over the host Falcons. So it seems like a safe assumption.
It does. It does.
End over end kick again into the end zone. This one a low one for Jenkins.
Jenkins kick into and out of the end zone.
So again, it'll be first and 10 for Connellsville at the 20.
From their own 20-yard line.
As we change these possessions, good time to check in here on our out-of-town scoreboard. Just going around 5A, Penn Hills up 35-7 on Shaler. Woodland Hills has taken the lead back from Latrobe. It's 26-24, but that one's a close one in the third quarter with large playoff implications. Peters Township extended their lead, as we talked about, 20-7 over West Day. Another game of note, Penn Trafford up 49-7 over Franklin Regional, trying to stay atop of the Big East standings.
High snap as Connellsville goes to the ground on the Wildcat, but Kyron Craggett is going to take it 80 yards to the house. And Connellsville scores for the first time today on an 80-yard touchdown run.
80-yard touchdown run for the Falcons.
And they had done such a good job of keeping Craggett contained and avoiding those big-time explosive plays. But sooner or later in most games, he finds an avenue and finds a way to make one of these splash plays. Luckily, Gateway was able to put up 43 before that happened, but Craggett really is a phenomenal athlete. He's had a phenomenal season with not a whole lot of help around him, so credit to him.
Gage Gelati attempt the point after.
Kick up, and it bangs hard off of the crossbar. And when I say hard, I mean hard, like the whole goal system was shaking. And the official over there had to duck.
He put that one on a rope. There was not really any height on that whatsoever, but certainly more than enough oomph behind it.
Well, that is for sure. Clock stopped here as we await the kickoff by the Connellsville Falcons. I want to thank you for joining us on this season that has certainly had its shares of ups and downs. The ups certainly included the fact that we were able to play some football with a late start. First game on September 11th, and 2 straight wins for Gateway. A conference win against the Franklin Regional Panthers, then the non-conference game against Bethel Park before the 3 games canceled due to COVID. First at Gateway, canceling 2 games, then at home against Penn Trafford. That game was canceled because of COVID-related illnesses at Penn Trafford. Then Gateway was able to finally get back into action at Woodland Hills last Friday night. Got that 21-16 win as they shook off the rust, and certainly didn't show many signs of rust here today as they lead Connellsville 43-6 in the latter stages of the third quarter.
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling for them. Pass the eye test, put up a good performance here heading into the postseason.
Connellsville going for the onside kick. It's bobbled and finally scooped up by George Schultz. Gateway was not ready for the onside kick, and Connellsville came out of there with it, and Schultz, who has made his presence known defensively, came out of there with the onside kick as well. Now, you can't advance an onside kick. It's where he recovered the football, so it'll be 1st and 10 for Connellsville at the 41-yard line.
Yeah, Schultz is quite the playmaker out there. We've seen it mostly with him stopping the ball, but you see him there with the ball. He's tough to bring down, too. Again, he is not the largest guy in the world, but, man, he plays a great game of football out there. And if they had more guys like him, they'd have quite a season.
Again, the Wildcat. And Connellsville shifts from a bunch of backers to the right to a bunch of backers to the left. And this time Craggett has nowhere to go as he's met in the backfield by Shane Thrift.
Yeah, good job of coaching there clearly by the Gators, of going to the sidelines, diagnosing what we saw out there, what didn't work, what broke down. Let's fix that. We're probably going to see it again, but this time we're going to be ready for it. Great job there as you see them stay at home. And like you said, Thrift able to come in there, wrap them up, make sure the ball carrier can't advance.
Clock winding. Just over a minute to go in the third quarter. Second and about a dozen for Connellsville with the ball at the Gateway 43 after an onside kick. Craggett out of the Wildcat surges to the original line of scrimmage of this drive, where he's wrapped and brought down by a trio of Gators, including Jaden Hurt.
Jack Taylor on the stop. 3rd down and 9.
Well, the credit 3 yards on the gain for Craggett. And it'll be 3rd and 9 for the Falcons. The ball on the right hash, as again, it's the Wildcat. The backers shift from right to left, and now Gillett is the QB. Runs right, slides back left, and has to dump it to the near boundary into the Gators bench as there was nowhere to go for the senior QB for the Connellsville Falcons.
Brings up 4th down.
A good protection there, had a decent amount of time to throw, but even better coverage by the Gators, ensuring that there were no receivers left open. But see, the teams will switch sides. It looks like we're at the end of the third quarter here, just 12 minutes to go.
Well, we will see the fourth quarter. We're going to take a pause real quick, though. You're tuned in to Gateway Football on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and live on Facebook. Moments away from the start of the fourth quarter, it gives us an opportunity to take a look at the other conferences around 5A. We'll start off with the 5A Allegheny 6. Peters Township undefeated, 5-0 on the year, 4-0 within that Allegheny 6 conference. Upper St. Clair and South Fayette both 3-1 within their league. The Moon Tigers and the West Day Indians are 1-3 within Allegheny 6 play. Bethel Park is 0-4 on the year and 0-6 overall. Gillett rolls left. Hit by Smith as he releases the football, and a flag comes in.
Incomplete. There is a flag on the play.
And I think Aiden Smith's going to be guilty of a roughing the quarterback, but kind of the nickel-dime version of it.
And he didn't really hit him very hard, and you could argue that the ball was just leaving his hand. But you do know that they look to call those. They look to keep quarterbacks safe. They look to keep players in vulnerable positions safe, so I do understand it.
Well, so we've got holding against Connellsville and then roughing the passer
Holding against Connellsville.
against the Gators. The penalty's offset, and that brings up 4th down and 9.
Well, we'll take it, I guess.
Yeah.
Offsetting penalties.
Yeah, Aiden Smith, who put the hit on the Connellsville QB, really didn't do much damage and really didn't hit him that late. So I'm not quite sure what the thought process was on why that was. Roughing the passer, but regardless, it was offset by a holding penalty by Connellsville. And now it's 4th and 9 for the Falcons at the 40, trying to take advantage of picking up an onside kick. Straight drop back for the Connellsville QB. Gillett tosses it down that right sideline, and it's a touchdown for the Falcons. Couldn't tell if the receiver was inbounds from our vantage point, but it is a touchdown of 39 yards by Colby Keaty on the reception.
A beautiful ball, putting that in a position where his receiver has a chance to make a play on it. He's really running out of real estate there in the end zone, so credit on a really nice throw. See if he stays in bounds here at the end. And it looks like it, yeah.
Oh, he sure did.
2 feet, too. That would have worked at the pro level.
A nice job by Keaty to pull that one in, and a really nice pass as well by Gillett, who was dropping that one in from a long way away.
I believe that's the first touchdown on the season for Keaty, who hasn't really been that involved in the passing game thus far this season.
Connellsville going to go for 2. A jump pass is intercepted, and that's going to do it for that 2-point conversion attempt, as a little trickery there with the direct snap to Gillett. The flag came in as well.
Left pass is incomplete.
It's against Connellsville, and the Gators are going to decline that one. And the failed 2-point conversion attempt keeps the lead at 31 points for the Gateway Gators, 43-12 with 11:17 to play in the fourth quarter of this one.
With 11 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in the
A couple
first quarter.
defensive lapses that have to be frustrating for the Gators. And we saw some of this against a couple of the first opponents, Franklin Regional, Bethel Park, specifically in that Franklin Regional game in the second half, where the defense, the tackling started to go away a little bit. You see Jaden Hurt getting stretched out there on the sidelines. You saw, some sloppy coverage here and there, and you attribute it to a 43-point lead and maybe mentally checking out a little bit. But I'm sure that Coach Don Hall is going to want to keep those guys into the game, keep them focused. There's such a culture around this program that you never want to let up for a second. And so we'll see if they're able to come back out the next time on defense and maybe batten down the hatches a little bit.
Yeah, you talk about the culture with the Gateway football program, and Don Hall talks about it, and Rick has told us about it through the first 3 games of the season. Repping the G, representing Gateway and the G that is on your uniform, and that's what Gateway prides themselves on. And that's something they really prided themselves on a week ago, where they were able to keep their cool when Woodland Hills was trying to, maybe at times bait Gateway into retaliating. Gateway here wants to rep the G and kind of keep things at bay with the Connellsville Falcons. Maybe not necessarily allow a circumstance here where there's another onside kick that leads to a Connellsville possession.
Absolutely.
And again, onside kick, and stepping up and coming out of there with the football for the Gators is Ricariel. The reserve sophomore quarterback stepped forward and got that one inside of Connellsville territory at the 48 or 49.
I always have such appreciation for those guys on the hands team. You know, you've got guys barreling at you quickly that are looking to lay the boom on you, and you've got to focus in on that ball and grab that, knowing that no matter what, there's an impact coming. And good job there by L, just focusing in on the ball, blocking everything else on the peripheral, and making sure he came up with that one.
And that was something that always scared me to death when I was a younger player at the high school level playing on special teams, is they'd put you out there on that front line, and if they go surprise onside, do I have the ball skills to come out of there with the football?
Timeout. Gateway.
Gateway forced to use the timeout. As I think the Gators were short a man, and Don Hall not a happy camper as he gave Shane Thrift an earful there. I think Shane Thrift was supposed to be out on the field with the Gators, but wasn't out there, and caught the wrath of the head coach of the Gateway Gators, Don Hall.
He's back in the huddle now, but he told Thrift, go take a seat. I thought his evening might be done. And again, you've got to be mentally into it. I know you're up 31 points. You all have played incredible out there if you're the Gators. You feel good about things. But, you know, going into the playoffs, you can't take your foot off the gas here in the last quarter and, you know, come out with a sour taste in your mouth. Or someone's only going half speed, you get lit up, you get an injury. Those things just can't happen here.
Second ago, you saw Jacques Taylor on the sideline. That means he's not out there on the field as the ball is stripped away from Engelke. Engelke was pressured, and a strip sack by Connellsville, and the Falcons come out of there with the football. Cameron King with the fumble recovery.
God, if Coach Hall was a little displeased before, he can't be happy now. I mean, you've gotta keep focused here. Take another look at that one. A little holding on the jersey there as Engelke tried to get to it. Heads up play, recovering that one. But, you know, you're giving this ball back. I mean, they're down 31, but you've already given up 2 scores pretty quickly. You've got to contain here. Got to make some plays.
Well, we've seen Gateway make a couple of mistakes here. And so far they've led to some Connellsville points as Falcons go to the ground, and coming from left to right went Craggett. He had nowhere to go as he swallowed up by the Gators defense.
Yeah, good way to not over pursue on the defense there. You've just seen the offense, you know, make a blunder. The defense the last couple times out has really done a poor job of tackling and missing some assignments in coverage. But that time you brush all that aside. You play one play at a time. You can't make up for all that in one play. All you can do is try and keep the runner in your vision and contain him from getting too far down the field.
Trips left. Empty set as 2 receivers split to the right. The Falcons. Now Craggett motions from right to left. He's going to take the handoff on the end around. He's wrapped by Jacques Taylor. Taylor doesn't make the tackle, but his teammates do.
Craggett on the carry.
As Hunter Dow and Bonzi Parks make the stop inside of Falcons territory.
Interesting. That was almost a muffed handoff there. If you take another look, you see Gillett almost pull this ball back out at the last moment and actually kind of have to extend there to get it into the ball carrier's hands there in Craggett, and then absolutely just no blocking whatsoever. Any Gator that wanted to be in on that one was in on that one.
Clock winds, 9 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. 3rd down and 17 for the Connellsville Falcons. The line to gain is the 34. Straight drop back for Gillett, flush to the right. He's hit, he's wrapped, he's sacked. Jameer Harbor on the sack for the Gateway Gators.
Yeah, things are really starting to break down up front for Connellsville. That's 2 plays in a row where you've got a flurry of Gators just winding through without anyone protecting whatsoever. And there you see this time, as you said, it's big 42 Jameer Harbor, the 205 junior coming through almost unblocked.
And again, the scoreboard says 3rd and 25. Now it's adjusted to 4th and 25, fortunately. So 4th and very long for Connellsville. They have the offense on the field with the ball at their own 41.
See if they go deep here again. They connected on a deep ball for a touchdown on the last drive. They're going to need that again here to move the chains.
Trips left, one receiver right, and Connellsville calls a timeout. Time on the field, we'll pause 7:51 to play in the 4th quarter. It's Gateway 43, Connellsville 12. You're tuned into Gators football on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and live on Facebook.
And play resumes. 4th down and 25.
7:51 to play, 4th quarter. Time to take a look at the Northeast Conference standings. We talked about Pine Richland, the top team in the WPIAL 5A. Penn Hills just behind Pine Richland, 3-1 in that Northeast Conference. North Hills 2-2, Fox Chapel 2-2, Kiski 1-3, and Shaler down at the bottom winless, both in conference and without.
I'll tell you what, my take, looking at the outcomes and things we might see tonight, I'm going to put money down that I bet you Upper St. Clair and South Fayette both make it into the playoffs based on their records compared to what we see there in that conference.
Yeah, I think that North Hills really is the outlier as a near interception by Jameer Harbor breaking up that pass, and it's a turnover on downs. It'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway. But getting back to that wild card with a victory by Woodland Hills and Penn Hills probably qualifying as the 2 seed out of that Northeast Conference. Really, it does seem like a safe assumption, Vince, that we're going to see, probably 2 teams from that Southeastern Conference qualified that aren't conference champions, or that Allegheny 6 conference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we get a little time on the screen here, we're trying to look at these records and what the playoffs might look like. And a team like Woodland Hills, who has now taken a 10-point lead, might end up at 5-2. It's not unheard of that they might end up between Upper St. Clair and them, a 4-5 matchup. You take that into account. I think Pine Richland's going to hold the 1. I think Gateway will get the 2 seed based off of, the pedigree. They did take down Peters last year in the championship game. There is some of that reputation, that cachet that happens over time. So you start looking at who might be the 7 seed, the 6 seed. You're looking at teams like South Fayette and Penn Hills might be potential matchups that we could see coming to Monroeville. I tell you what, a Penn Hills Gateway first-round matchup would really be something special next week.
That really would be great. And early this year, we had an opportunity to see Woodland Hills play against Penn Hills for the first time in a very long time. Then last week, Gateway played Woodland Hills for the first time in a long time. And to see those 3 teams be able to play each other in that round robin this season, that would be something that would be great, especially for folks that remember way back to those old Quad East days in the 80s and 90s.
Well, anyone that watched that game last week between Woodland Hills and Gateway saw how supercharged both of those teams were and how much they were flying around. It just made for great football. Great local rivalries make for great football. I hope we get to see that next week.
Gators with a lot of substitutes in there now as Jameer Harbor is the ball carrier. Banged around and brought down for a gain of about a yard to the 40.
It's a shame that the first team isn't ending on a little bit of a higher note here tonight, giving up a few scores and playing a little lackadaisical. Coach Hall kind of getting in their ears a little bit. But I do agree with starting to kind of bring in the second team here late in a contest that is out of hand, because you just can't afford any injuries going into the playoffs here. You can't afford being down any more bodies than you already are. You have a couple skill position players out. So a smart choice here and an opportunity in a shortened season to get some more guys some time on the varsity field.
Quarterback Kai Barber sliding through tacklers, still on his feet. That was an impressive run by the 5'11 reserve QB, the senior.
Yeah, he was making everyone look slow out there. Barber with the wheels. You take another look at it. Nice little read option there, pulls the ball back and is able, even pulls the camera as he's off to the races. Looked like he might score for a minute there. Great run.
First down and 10 for Gateway at the 21. Play clock ran all the way down. I don't think they reset it as the handoff between Barber and the tailback Harbor went awry. And fortunately, the ball bounced right back into Barber's hands, and he was able to basically cover it up for a 2-yard loss.
Yeah, you're going to see some of that. Second team doesn't get quite as many reps at practice. Still unexcusable, and I'm sure Coach Hall's saying that down on the sidelines, but a heady play there by the quarterback to be able to get onto that ball quickly without losing too much yards and, more importantly, losing possession.
Second down and 12. As Barber pulls it out of the belly of the tailback and runs to the left himself and wiggles his way forward inside of the 20 to around the 18-yard line. And Vince, you talk about the reps that these guys don't necessarily get in practice, and that is, quite frankly, compounded by the fact that the Gateway and Woodland Hills junior varsity game last week was canceled. So they didn't have a JV game for some of these young guys to get that game time experience. So these guys haven't played probably since the JV game following the victory over Bethel Park some 6 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly tough because you just can't simulate that game action in practice. You can't simulate, what it's like to be out there in that moment. And so, these guys, like you said, just frankly have not had even that much practice. The time off due to COVID, they weren't able to organize as a team, and most of those reps go to the first team during that practice session. So those JV games are so crucial to the development of the program and the development of young players. Gives them a chance to get out and play against peers. So unfortunately, they haven't really had many opportunities to do that this year.
Aaron Grimm, the 5'8" sophomore reserve defensive lineman for Connellsville, was the injured party, escorted to the far sideline. Just under 5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Gateway in control of Connellsville. It's Kai Barber, who pumped 3 times before ultimately releasing that football in the direction of Yusuf Mendoza. And then complete pass brings up 4th down and 7 from the 18.
Brings up 4th down.
It looked like he got rid of that one just before he did hit the ground. So, smart play there to be able to let go of that one and keep it a 4th and manageable here. See what they call up or what they decide to do here in the red zone.
Barber in the shotgun, side cutter, his left trips to the left, play action. Straight drop back, setting up the screen. The pass is complete, but Chase Arrington had nowhere to go with it.
Yeah, tough break there, as Arrington would have had to make a defender miss. A nice little dump off pass there for Barber, who had to kind of hop past that over a line that was hard charging at him.
And Connellsville takes over.
So Connellsville will get one more crack at it here with 4 minutes left, 31 down. And I continue to look at them at what the playoffs may look like, and continue to think, regardless of whether Gateway gets the 2 or the 3, the 2 likely opponents that they're going to match up with are either Penn Trafford or Penn Hills. I think I've got it narrowed down to that.
Well, that seems fairly likely, and I was talking to an athletic director at another school in the WPIAL, and he and I were kind of going back and forth on that, and he has kind of the same thoughts that I do, and that you just expressed, that it's either probably a 2-7 matchup with Penn Hills or a 3-6 matchup with Penn Trafford.
Absolutely, and the reason I think there might be a likely chance for a 3-6 matchup is 3-6 the other way around would be Peters versus Penn Trafford. But then again, who's to say Penn Trafford might not be the 4 or the 5? So, there's also a very strong likelihood. If I had to put money down, I would say Penn Hills at Monroeville next week.
Yeah, because if you put Penn Trafford against Peters Township, that's Penn Trafford's lone loss of the year in that non-conference game early on. As Connellsville goes to the ground here with just under 3 minutes to play.
Presenting hands off to Chad Jesco. 3rd down and 6.
And earlier, Vince, you made mention of something that I kind of forgot was a pretty valid selling point for putting Gateway at number 2. Gateway, with a ton of players back, defeated Peters Township, who has a ton of players back in last year's WPIAL championship game.
Absolutely. I think that it makes a lot of sense. I think that it's, you prove these things out on the field, and they did last year, and like you said, a lot of returning starters on both sides.
As Connellsville again goes to the ground. Chad Jesco, the ball carrier, muscles his way forward for a pickup of a handful. Brings up 4th down and 1. The line to gain the 33, the ball's the 32.
Assume that they'll take a crack at it here. No sense in punting. It's late in the season, late in the game. Might as well make a go for it here. See if you can't convert. Keep your offense on the field for the last 90 seconds instead of giving it back to Gateway.
Jordan Tyre with the tackle on that previous play. Connellsville, they go to the ground, and they will pick up the 1st down as Chad Jesco lowers his shoulders and shoves his way forward. Just enough for the 1st down from the 32 to the 34. Quick huddle for the Falcons, and the Gators defense has to quickly set up their alignments. Straight drop back for the reserve quarterback, Piasecki, and his pass to that far sideline incomplete. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
Looks like they're going to keep the clock running here to drain this one out. As Gateway will move to 4-0. And we'll talk about in a minute what the playoffs might look like for the Gators next week. Would have to believe they're going to be hosting a game being unblemished on the season and ranked number 2 in 5A, number 3 in the state.
As the Falcons run the end around.
Ethan Schultz on the carry.
It's Schultz on the carry.
And that is
The
the
freshman, and a big hit by Elijah Heller for the final tackle of the football game as Gateway wins 43-12.
We saw Heller in that first game of the season make a couple plays. He's a fun guy to watch down there on the field. I hope to see more of him in the years to come.
Yeah, Elijah Heller, 5 feet 5 inches tall, 130 pounds, but he throws his body around with the best of them.
He does not shy away from contact.
Well, the Gateway Gators defeat the Connellsville Falcons by a final score of, I don't remember, I think it was 42-13, or 42-12, 43-12, thank you very much. Unfortunately, they shut the scoreboard off immediately after the game ended, so I didn't even have that to reference to write it down before they shut the scoreboard off. But still a good victory for Gateway as they defeat the Connellsville Falcons, and Gateway finishes the year 4-0 on the season and 3-0 within the conference.
Yeah, tremendous performance. Derek Davis, the catalyst once again. Great to see him come out on both sides of the ball and have a great performance. The interception on defense and the opportunity to score 5 touchdowns offensively, 1 through the air, 4 on the ground. He's really been fantastic. Engel K rebounded from a so-so performance last week against Woodland Hills and really put together a nice performance at the quarterback position. And so this was what you wanted to see from Gateway, come out, have a complete performance after a really tough dogfight against Woodland Hills last week. And if you're Coach Don Hall, there's definitely some things to work on from this week to next week, but you've got to feel confident if you're a Gators fan going into the postseason.
Yeah, this is the really good bounce-back game for Gateway after having to shake the rust off a week ago. And really what I like to see is, like you said, Engel K looked significantly better today than he did last week against Woodland Hills. He had his legs under him. He ran the ball well. He was able to throw the ball more efficiently than he did against Woodland Hills a week ago. And, of course, we saw Davis catching the football, running with the football, and we also saw Shamor Price kind of return to his early season form, even though he was hampered with an illness for a period of time in this football game. It was good to see Price get back into the mix as well.
Man, I really wish that block field goal would have held and there wouldn't have been that blindside block, because that was one of the more phenomenal plays I've seen from a high school football game, going over 90 yards to the house and making, like we said, going 30 yards laterally before going 90 yards vertically and not losing any acceleration or speed along the way. I'm just so excited to see how these playmakers stand up against some really tough competition against the Penn Traffords, the Pine Richlands, should Gateway be, lucky enough and skilled enough to get to those games. We have an exciting postseason ahead of us, and the fact that we almost didn't have this because of everything going on in the world, it just makes it that much sweeter that we're staring at WPIAL playoff football.
And let's talk about how unconventional some of that scoring would have been. You talk about Shamor Price and the blocked field goal return for a touchdown that was negated by a penalty. But Shamor Price also had a free kick return for a touchdown of 95 yards that came after a safety, after a bad punt snap by the Connellsville Falcons.
I mean, you've got to be mindful all the time of where you're at, where the playmakers are. There's so many different people to key in on if you're Gateway that it just makes it so incredibly tough to keep up with everyone, because the moment you key on completely in Davis, they're going to go over the top and hit Price, hit Bodie, hit even Thrift over the top. But then, you lose track of, the receivers on the outside. That's when you get Davis involved, Kelvin Nelson, even Bledsoe gets the ball a few times. There are no lack of playmakers on this offense, and it's got to be a nightmare to try and game plan against.
Vince, we had an opportunity throughout the second half because things got out of control to talk about playoff scenarios, but I'm getting word that Latrobe has come back on the Woodland Hills Wolverines. Now, I don't know exactly the score. I'm waiting to get a word on that one, but should Woodland Hills lose, you got to think that's going to bounce them out of the playoffs, and that really starts to muddle things for those wild card playoffs.
It's tough. I don't know that it completely bounces them out because they have, some quality performances put together. Even in a loss, you'd have to think the Gateway performance puts them in a more positive light. But, Latrobe's in there where they're 1-1 in the conference. They would move to 2-1 on the season, have a winning record. Maybe Latrobe slips in as a 7 or an 8 seed and sort of shifts things around. So it's pretty interesting to see, if Latrobe's able to pull off this upset, it really does make things very murky. Does a team like North Hill start to get a little more consideration? Do they maybe eke out and eke into the playoffs? The only other option I think in that realm would be maybe a Fox Chapel, although their resume isn't quite as strong. So it would behoove a lot of people. I'm sure the selection committee even is probably hoping that Woodland Hills is able to hang on to this one, because it makes their job a lot easier.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Well, Vince, your final thoughts on today's game as we head to the playoffs next week?
Excited, super excited. These playmakers that Gateway has, our first season being able to be up close and personal with this team has been really awesome thus far, even if it has been abbreviated. And I am so excited to see how these playmakers adapt to the shortened season in the face of adversity, playing against teams that played 7 games during the regular season. There's just so much intrigue around such a unique season. I'm just glad we get to be a part of it.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today as the Gateway Gators get the 43-12 victory over the Connellsville Falcons. That'll do it for our coverage of today's game in Connellsville, Pennsylvania. For my broadcast partner, Vince Russo, and our entire crew, I'm Adam Gusky. Thanking you for joining us. You've been tuned in to Gateway Football on the Triv Live High School Sports Network and live on Facebook.